All right, time we good. Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat. Today we kick off the 2026 Women's Asian Cup hosted by Australia. And of course we start this tournament as Australia take on the Philippines. Should be a really interesting game today. These two sides actually met in the not too distant past. They played at the 2024 Olympics, I believe, and Australia were dominant in that game. But would expect, given the nature of this competition and given how Philippines have improved in that time, would expect today to be a lot tighter of a game.
Yeah, 100%. I don't see Australia scoring 8 goals today. I'll be very, very surprised if they do. But yeah, I think it'll be a good one. It's a nice one to open the tournament. I think that for Australia, they'll look at the group and see this is an opportunity to get 3 points on the board. And, you know, obviously the big game's going to be coming up against South Korea, but they want to get off to a good start here. Australia. For Philippines, I really like the things that have been coming out of the camp, and they're coming into this game to be annoying, to be frustrating to Australia and try and make it difficult. And that's the way to go about it. Stop Australia having it all their own way. They're the hosts. They want to turn up today and put a few goals on the board, you know, get the home fans behind them and kick the tournament off with a big win. It's up to Philippines to be frustrating, make things awkward for Australia today, make them work for it. And if Philippines can walk away with a point, then or even the 3 points, and that's a massive start, and it'll put them in a great position in the group. So yeah, I think we're in for a really good matchup. As long as Philippines can stay in the game, I think this could be a lot closer than people expect.
Yeah, let's start by discussing as well Australia's ambitions at this tournament. You mentioned there obviously they want to go on and win it. Finalists in 3 of the last 4 editions, but they haven't won the competition out since 2010. On home soil this year, we saw the impact that had in the World Cup in 2023. Surely all the pressure's on Australia in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's pressure that the media and the fans will put onto the team, but it's also pressure that the team will put onto themselves. When you reach that many finals, it gets to a point where it's frustrating to keep getting there and falling at the last hurdle. They will back themselves to go all the way this year, and as you say, I think that the fans will expect Australia to make a very, very good go of it and go on to win it. And I think that it's, you know, of course they've got the quality, but there's some brilliant teams in this competition. They've got to rise to that pressure, rise to the occasion, and look to get the job done. And although, you know, that starts today, opening day, got to kick off with a win, because if you don't, you're already on the back foot. So it's important, every game, every point. Australia have got to be there. They've got to challenge. And yeah, I think the fans are very expectant that this year will be Australia's year.
Yeah, I think there's an additional pressure as well, because when you look at the team that's going to play today and the team that's going to feature for most of this tournament, we're talking about players now who are 31, 32, 33 years old. So if we're looking at that next Asian Cup cycle, Uzbekistan in 2030, those players are going to be into their 35, 36, 37. There's a great chance they're not going to be in the team. And with the talent coming through in Australia right now, it's probably going to come in and replace them.
Yeah.
So for your Sam Kerrs, your Steph Catleys, your Hayley Raso, Katrina Gorey, your Caitlin Fords, this is probably their last chance to win the Asian Cup. Obviously, Sam Kerr's won it before. She was in the side in 2010 at 16 years old, scored in the final in that game. But this is, for a lot of them, their last chance really to win the Asian Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is a real difficult one, because they will relish that opportunity, and the players will enjoy that fact that they can give absolutely everything to this tournament. But as you say, it comes with that weight of they've got to deliver. If they don't now, they could miss out. And I think that especially for the players that, you know, if you when you haven't won a competition before and you come into your last chance to claim, get your hands on it, there is a lot of pressure, because you want to win it and you don't want to. It doesn't matter how illustrious your career has been. Players like Sam Kerr will want to go again and claim another Asian Cup. They'll want to end on a high, and I think that across the board, it's one of those where you can win as many trophies as you want, but there's nothing like winning a trophy with your national side. You know, it's a special occasion for all players, and I think that there's a couple of players, especially in the squad, that will want to bow out with an Asian Cup victory.
Absolutely. Well, let's dive into the lineups then, and we'll start, of course, with the hosts of the tournament, Australia. It looks like a 4-2-3-1 for Australia today, or 4-3-3 for Australia. In goal, Chloe Lincoln. An injury and illness crisis has hit the Australian national team in the goalkeeper position. 2 players out injured, another out ill. In comes Chloe Lincoln, a goalkeeper who has very few senior appearances, and I think it's fair to say has struggled domestically this season. In the back 4, Ellie Carpenter at right back with a centre-back partnership of Catley and Hunt. Winnie Heatley then in at left back. Midfield 3, Katrina Gorey likely to be the deepest of the 3, with Claire Wheeler and Emily Van Egmond alongside her. On one wing, it's Hayley Raso. On the other, Caitlin Ford. And leading the line, it's, of course, Sam Kerr. Strong team then in areas for Australia. Let's start there by talking about goalkeepers. How big a consequence is it to not have their starting keeper for this game?
Yeah, it will be really frustrating for Australia. You know, Wyman and Mike are both out with injuries and illnesses, and I think that Lincoln has got to step up massively. It's an opportunity for her, but also it will be a concern for Montemurro and his side. Only played for the Matildas 3 times before. As you say, has really struggled in the A-League this season as well. So it's a massive, it's massive pressure for her, but she's got to turn that into an opportunity. She's got to look at this and go, if I can turn up today, keep a clean sheet and put in a good performance, I've got a good chance of getting myself a few more international appearances. I think that of course, it won't be ideal for Montemurro. He'd want his strongest 11 to kick off the tournament. He'd want everyone to be in their right positions and everything to work well. But that's a big one that I think will be concerning. But as I say, it's a massive opportunity for Lincoln to come in and start this game. She's got to rise to the occasion. They cannot afford for her to have a bit of another poor performance or below par performance like we've seen a few times this season. She's got to deliver when it matters, and if she can, then it's a great extent. It's one of those where it's kind of not make or break. It maybe is a bit over the top, but I think it is for if she comes in and plays really well, then I think she'll afford herself a lot more opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. She comes in and keeps a clean sheet, makes some big saves.
Yeah.
Maybe she continues to start at this competition. But outside of that, I think experience is the word for Australia. A lot of players with a lot of international football under their belt against a very young Philippines side. So that's got to be something they take full advantage of today. As for the Philippines team, it looks like it will be a 4-3-3 for the Philippines. In goal, it is Olivia McDaniel. A back four then of Hallie Long, former Australia national player Angela Beard, alongside her Sophia Harrison at left centre half and Jessica Coart at left back. In the midfield three, it's Alexa Pino, Jaslyn Sawicki and Sarah Egersvik. And then in the front line, on one side, Chandler McDaniel, on the other, Katrina Gilau, and then leading the line, it's Carle Frill. Interesting side then for Philippines. Some big misses, of course. Not having Bolden at this competition is a big loss, but they've still got players in there who can trouble Australia today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first they've got to be defensively solid, and they will be strong. The McDaniels are going to be key in this one. One towards the end of the front end of the pitch and one in goal. I think they're both going to have to be very busy if the Philippines want to walk away with anything. Again, you mentioned Beard there. She's going to be a massive part of being defensively solid. But the Philippines, they're going to look to counter. They're going to look to try and hit Australia on the break, and that's going to be their best opportunity really to find the back of the net. But I think, as you say, I think if they can remain defensively solid, keep themselves in the game, frustrate Australia, stunt that brilliant front three that the Matildas possess, and then look to grow into the game, get their players involved and see what happens. They've got a chance here. They're up against it, of course they are, but they've always got a chance. We've seen some strange things happen in the opening games of international tournaments, and I think the Philippines will relish the challenge of taking on the host nation in the opening game, and they'll look to be the party poopers, really.
Well, I mean, Philippines have experience against host nations. If we think back to the 2023 Women's World Cup, they faced New Zealand in the group stages. They beat them in Wellington on that occasion. If they could do something similar today, upset the favourites, upset the hosts in this opening game, well, it would put them in a fantastic position. We're looking at a situation where a win almost sees you through in this competition, because you're going to need about 4 points in third to guarantee yourself a place in the next round. But it's impossible to get more than that, really, and finish third. But yeah, I think we're in that position where wins are so important. Wins and draws even are so important for progression. So yeah, if either side wins today, they put themselves in a great spot to qualify for the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's one of those where you can't afford to slip up, but it's very easy to, as you say, if you start well, you should be through. And the group stage is this short, you have to deliver from the off. And if you do, you'll find yourself in a comfortable position and you'll pretty much breeze through. But if you don't get going in match week 1, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to recover in the following match week. So yeah, it goes both ways, this kind of group stage format, with the third place teams going through, it presents quite a nice opportunity to get through if you hit the ground running. But if you don't, you find yourself playing catch up for the final 2 games, and eventually you end up missing out.
Absolutely. Well, the players out on the field now, so we're going to dive into predictions in just a moment. Welcome, though, to everyone jumping into the live chat. Phil, Mark Barker as well. Jeremy Dalton, welcome all to the stream. Jeremy asking, no Fowler in the starting lineup for Australia. No, still a big doubt, obviously, coming off a major injury. We could see involved though later in this tournament. Let's dive into predictions then. If you're watching along to the live show and want to get involved, then get your scoreline prediction in the live chat and we'll go through them all ahead of kickoff. We're going to start here in the studio. And as always, Harry, we're going to start with yourself. What's your prediction as Australia open this Women's Asian Cup?
Oh, I think it should be a really good game, but I am going to back the hosts Australia to take the victory. Philippines, for me, will defend valiantly, but the Matildas have just got too much quality. Personally, I will say Australia 2, Philippines 0. I think it will be a comfortable win for Australia, but nothing, ridiculously large margin. I will say a Sam Kerr goal to kick off the tournament, shock in the first half, and then I will say in the second half to seal the 3 points, I will go for a goal from, I'll say Van Egmond, bit of a road goal scorer, edge of the area, 2-0 Australia, and a perfect start for the hosts.
Yeah, not bad. I want to back a little bit of an upset. I said in my preview video on Friday that I could just see Philippines nicking something here. And I think without their starting goalkeeper, that is a vulnerability for Australia. I think as strong as that front line is, and I do think they'll get a goal today, I just think Philippines can get a response. I'm going to say Australia 1, Philippines 1. I think it'll be Australia actually take the lead, and I'm going to say a goal from Sam Kerr because who else? Fantastic footballer. But I think they're going to get into a position, because Montemurro teams tend to do this, where they get into a lead and they just don't quite kill the game off. And I feel that we could see that today, and we see the Philippines break away quickly. They manage to get Friller in behind, or they can try and get McDaniel in behind. I think they can just take advantage of Australia in one of those positions. And, you look at the fact that Carpenter's probably quite high. Maybe there's some space on that side. I can see Philippines nicking something here. So I'm going to back a draw. Australia 1, Philippines 1.
Yeah, I think, they've got every chance of doing it. And as you say, I think that if I'm the Philippines, early doors, I'm getting shots off. You've got an Australian goalkeeper in there who hasn't played much, football for the senior side. Wasn't expecting to come into this tournament and start. So if I'm Philippines, I'm thinking first 5-10 minutes, let's get some shots away. Let's put her under pressure early and see if she can crack, because that'll be the main thing for the Philippines. If they can test her, they can make things happen. But as you say, they've got to start well. They've got to keep themselves in the game. And if they do fall behind, the big thing as well is if they do fall behind in this one, they've got to keep going. We see it so many times where once the bigger side gets that first goal, the weaker opposition kind of fall away, and it ends up being a bit of a drubbing in the end. But if Australia do take the lead, it's important that Philippines hang on in there and keep battling. But I think they will. I think they've got some very dangerous players, and as I say, they're a decent defensive unit. So I don't think it's going to be easy for the Matildas to just to break them down.
Well, we've got a load of predictions coming into live chat. Thanks everyone that's getting involved. Charlie Cassie saying good morning, guys. Welcome to the stream. Our fan cheering on Bangladesh. That will be the next game we are live for. You're a little early. We will be live on Tuesday as Bangladesh take on China. Brainy going 3-1 Australia. Mark going 4-1 Australia. Hoping for a comprehensive victory there. We've got a 3-0 prediction. Jeremy saying 1-1 tight game. Backing my prediction as well. Love that. And $256 saying prediction 3-0 Australia with goals from Sam Kerr getting a brace and Van Egmond. So a load of predictions coming in to the live chat. A lot of people confident in Australia's ability today. That's reflected in the poll as well. 74% backing Australia, 19% on the Philippines, and 6% going for a draw.
Yeah, it just sums up exactly what we're talking about. That the majority, will be expecting Australia to deliver on home turf. I think again, there's a lot of predictions of Sam Kerr to find the back of the net, and she feels the centrepiece of this tournament. Sam Kerr, has already been the hero in an Asian Cup for Australia, but can she do it again in what may be her last? Can she deliver for the Matildas? Can she end on a high by guiding her side, captaining her team to Asian Cup glory? And I think that it's one of those where if Australia are to win the tournament, Sam Kerr is going to be at the heart of it. So understandably, a lot of people expecting her to find the back of the net today.
It's one of those where I think if they win this, if they win it, I feel like a lot of players will retire before the next Asian Cup. I feel like this is a perfect way to go out. Obviously, the World Cup in 2027, they'll all want to be there. And while, Ford will be 34, 35, they're still going to be very happy to go and compete in that. So I don't see any retirees for that. But I think if they win this, then that's a great way to bow out of the Asian Cup and then give that next generation, let them come through and take on the mantle going into the Uzbekistan edition in 2030. But Yeah, this is a great chance for Australia to finally win the competition. Lots of finals in recent years. Obviously, 2022 didn't really go to plan for them. Didn't even make the semi-finals in that competition. But they've got a great run this year. I think their group is difficult with South Korea in there, with Philippines playing some nice stuff, with Iran being can be a tricky side on their day. But if they can get through that, they seed quite nicely going forwards. Japan will be the big test. If they do win their group, they could meet Japan in the semi-final. But if you get through that, you put themselves in a great position to win. So, yeah, it all starts here, though. They have to beat the Philippines. The Philippines will have a lot of belief coming in to this competition. They were obviously, they've been a side who've been able to compete relatively well. They were disappointed by the performance at the most recent Olympics, but they've been growing as a national side, and they're ready to compete now.
Yeah, exactly that. We're looking to get a run together, a run of tournaments together, and not only getting to tournaments but showing up and delivering. Can they deliver at this Asian Cup? Then they'll be looking towards the World Cup next year in Brazil, and then building on to the next Asian Cup after that. And that'll be the aim for them. Get a run of tournaments going, start to compete with the biggest sides, in the world, and that starts today. They can take the game to the Matildas. They can really show everyone what they're made of.
Indeed, and here's Australia to get us started. Sam Kerr from the middle, waiting for the referee's whistle to kick us off in this Asian Cup. Australia looking for just their second win in the competition. Sam Kerr knocks it back and we're underway. It's Australia taking on the Philippines in the opening match of the 2026 Women's Asian Cup. And it's Australia getting their foot on the ball first, looking to dictate this game against the Philippines. Here is Carpenter. Back across now to Heatley. Looks out towards the left-hand side. And then they're going to go to the right. Heatley across into Catley. Plays it inside to Van Egmond. It's bounced back. You can immediately see the shape they're trying to create with Catley playing in that left-back role. She's going to be operating almost as a left centre half in possession. Ball down the line. Raso competes, but it's won back well in there. Knocked up the line. Kept alive here by Gorey, who can't quite get to the second ball, and it's poked away from Carpenter, and then a free kick awarded in there. Looks like I think Gorey was just caught in possession.
Yeah, just clipped on the heel as she released the ball. It wasn't a very good pass, so got away with one there. But yeah, as you say, Australia, Montemurro know exactly what they're going to do. Try and get the ball down and take control of this game. Another player that I think this is a big tournament and a big game for is Hayley Raso. Especially with if Fowler is ready to return at some point over the Asian Cup, Raso will want to hit the ground running today.
Ball into the box, dealt with just about in there by Coart, and now they'll look to play it quickly. Frill's pass is cut out, but it does bounce its way through to Guillot. Pino trying to go up the line. Nowhere to go, though. Looked like Carpenter ran that off, and she did. Quite optimistically trying to take the throw there, but the referee overturning it. As the Philippines look to go down the left-hand side. Here's Long. And she's looking long with this throw. And that's a great throw. Flicked on well in there by McDaniel. Unable to make it work, though. And some strong work in midfield from Van Egmond. Recovers possession.
Exactly what the Philippines have got to do, though. Gained a lot of yards with the throwing from where it was supposed to be taken. And then, throwing it long. Gaining a lot of ground. And once again, is going long with it.
Yeah, Beard launching up the line, then wins the second ball, tries to flick it on there. Does the midfielder Eggersvik. Unable though to find a teammate, and Australia have possession once again. Carpenter. Lincoln out towards the left-hand side. Here's Hunt. Carrying that ball forwards, looking to gain some ground, and the Philippines not engaging until Australia get into their half. Gorey. Hunt. Back to Katrina Gorey. And now Heatley. Knocks out to the right-hand side. Carpenter holds the width well. Looking forwards here. Carpenter will actually drive it inside, and that's a poor pass. And McDaniel looks to take the shot from range, and that would have been one hell of a goal had she pulled that off. But Lincoln able to bring it under her control without issue.
Yeah, an audacious attempt, really.
I think audacious is a mild way of putting it.
Yeah, especially when you're not going to have much of the ball today. When Philippines do turn it over, they've got to hold it up and make it work rather than trying to score from 70 yards out.
Wheeler into Van Egmond. Heatley. Shifts it into Hunt. Heatley. Looks to find Sam Kerr in the channel. It's won well and cleared forwards by Beard. And it will be kept alive here by Van Egmond. Heatley moves it across the back line into Catley. Bounce back to Hunt. This is very typical of a Montemurro side. They're very ball dominant, but we're not. I mean, we're only 3 minutes in, so it's very early to say. But it feels like we're seeing the hallmarks once again, where all of the possession, but it is quite stagnant.
Yeah.
Heatley into Wheeler, bounces it wide into Carpenter. Now, granted, Philippines are sitting into 4-4-2. They're very compact. They're going to make themselves difficult to break down today. But Australia just don't feel like they're moving the ball quick enough yet in this game. And they may grow into it, but it does feel like exactly what we'd expect from a Montemurro team. Ford, nowhere to go, forced backwards. And that has gone out of play, and that will be an Australia throw.
Yeah, it's disciplined from the Philippines. They're doing very well. But it's going to be... The big test will be, can they keep it up for 90 minutes?
Yeah. Another player, this is a really important tournament for, I feel, is Caitlin Ford. Struggled domestically, struggled for Arsenal in all competitions really this season. But this is an opportunity to get a run of form together, get some contributions in a competition where the level is probably lower than the WSL. Of course, the games are important. It's a international competition, but we're looking, you'd consider the quality of the teams we learn in the WSL. It's a great chance for Ford to show what she's capable of and really put herself back in the limelight and perhaps take that form then onto the domestic scene. Now with Lincoln as Australia build out from the back, Hunt surveying her forward options, goes to the left-hand side with Catley. It looks down the line, thinks better of it though, and it's back inside to Hunt. Catley. It knocks it down the line, and that's turned around the corner by Van Egmond. Here's Ford now, can take the ball and drive with it. What can she make happen? Cuts it back looking for Kerr, doesn't quite find its target, but it does rebound off of the Philippines defenders out for a corner.
Better from Australia. Moved it much quicker, and Ford is not a bad cutback looking for Sam Kerr, but well intercepted by the Philippines. Because if Sam Kerr latches onto that, it's probably 1-0 Australia. But a corner, which they've got to use, and again, another test of the Philippines. First kind of test of their box defending, which is going to be important in this game.
Indeed, and it's Steph Catley over this set piece then. Cuts it into a good area, and Hunt is just under the ball too much. Kerr tries to keep it alive. Hunt nods on, but that's just going to fall too long. Who can launch it out of play?
Yeah, a little bit messy from the Philippines, but they dealt with it, and that's what matters.
Yeah, indeed. And Australia with the throw on the right-hand side. Carpenter. It's been one-way traffic so far. It's whether that traffic's going to come to anything. Now with Hunt. Heatley. Look to the right-hand side. The pass into Carpenter wasn't quite on. Goes back to Hunt. Now Wheeler. She can pick out Carpenter down the line. Rasso wants to take on Beard. Rasso runs herself out of play. And it's been given as a goal kick. Yeah, referee slightly delayed in her decision there.
Yes, a couple of times the referees had to overrule the lineswoman on this near side. They're not really linking up well, but yeah, Rasso did definitely run that out of play. And again, I said it's a big game for her, big tournament for her. But the front three have looked lively, but as you say, it's just a bit stagnant at the moment across the board. Philippines are doing very well to limit any contact for Ford, Kerr and Rasso.
Yeah, they are very deep at the moment, the Philippines, not looking to engage particularly quickly. And that ball just launched straight out of play there by McDaniel. And so Australia with the throw in now. Looking to go down the right-hand side. Carpenter into Rasso, makes the ball stick. Strong though from Beard, and she turns over possession. Now wants to carry it inside. Does Beard, tries to knock it forwards, but it's picked off by Gorey. A strong challenge in midfield. Falls out now to Hunt. And now it's with Catley. Back to Hunt. And Catley sauntering up the line. And this is where we see the shape just evolve a little bit, and players will have to drop in to support. And that hasn't really come to anything. Wheeler now operating on the left-hand side of this back three. Hunt looking out to the right-hand side, drills it into Carpenter. That's a positive touch, but her and Raso fail to communicate, run into each other there, and the Philippines can win back the ball without issue. Mark says they're going to miss Cooney Cross. She's been crucial to the midfield. It's, in terms of someone who can pick up that ball and look to play it in behind quite quickly, in terms of someone who can make this pitch a lot wider with her passing range. I mean, Gorey can do that, absolutely, but Gorey's very deep in the field at the moment to be able to impact the game. And I feel that Van Egmond and Wheeler give you very similar things. Players who are okay technically, but not the top kind of players. They're both utility midfielders, but you're really lacking a creator in there. Yeah. But they have got width with Ford and Carlton. They're both great at creation, so they just have to get it wide and try and get balls into the box, try and get cutbacks, and try and make that work for them today. Yeah.
It feels like that middle of the pitch is going to be very difficult to get through. Especially without players like Cooney Cross, because the Philippines are just packing it out. But yeah, the threat out wide will be the big part, will be the big sway in whether Australia are going to win this game or not.
Yeah, well, to be fair, they have pushed Gorey higher, and they're just allowing Van Egmond and co to build up in there. But I don't think you're getting. That's probably why they're struggling so much to play out. You need Katrina Gorey in there. As much as you need her creativity, you need Gorey in there. If anything, you kind of want Van Egmond being able to play off of Sam Kerr.
Yeah.
Actually, when they attack, she's trying to get a lot higher up the field. This ball goes straight through from Philippines, and a battle in there between Hunt and Frill, and it is Frill who is brought down. That's Catley, sorry, who brought her down, and that will be a free kick now for the Philippines.
Yeah, better. They got a foot on the ball, knocked it round, and the long ball out the back was actually, aimed at one of the front three. There's been a couple of long balls that have just been punted off the pitch or played straight to an Australian centre half, but that was much more accurate. And now they've won themselves a free kick that they can do something with.
Absolutely, and this gives them an opportunity. If they can just put the goalkeeper under pressure, because we haven't, for all of their dominance in possession, we've not seen Australia be able to actually take any shots. And the goalkeeper is taking this for the Philippines, puts it into the area, and that's no issue for Lincoln to claim. Took it as a bit of a goal kick there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. The problem was, though, it was end up being overhit. I was a bit worried that it would be underhit and wouldn't make it to the penalty area, but
just launched.
Yeah. If anything, the goalkeeper put too much on that. That was on the halfway line.
Yeah, absolutely launched it from the keeper there. But yeah, I don't mind them trying something a little bit different. It allows you to get more bodies in the box. Of course, if Australia break away the football, you are in trouble.
Yes.
But they've got a lot of ground to cover before, it gives the goalkeeper a bit of chance to get back in there. Don't mind them trying that. If it comes off, it's brilliant. And the goalkeeper gets an assist. There's an Asian Cup fantasy.
Yeah.
That would be my pick for the goalkeeper. Ford knocks it wide. What can Wheeler do in this high position? Across the box, blocked away well. Important defending there from Coart. Kept alive here by Catley. Now Wheeler shifts to Catley again. Knocks it down the line. Ford makes the run off the shoulder. Strong defending there as Lowe comes across to cover and deal with the threat.
Again, good defending from the Philippines. That 6-yard box has been protected well. Every cutback, every cross so far has been met by a blue shirt. And they're doing, especially when you've got someone like Sam Kerr in there, you've got to be sharp with it. But another Australian corner.
Yeah. They're lacking explosivity in that front line, Australia. There's no one there that's going to pick up the ball and just drive it.
Yeah.
I feel you've got two wingers who are both quite stagnant in possession. This corner, not bad. It's struck them by Heatley, blocked on the line, and Wheeler tries to poke it forwards. But it's cleared away well. Really good defending there. Philippines jumped in front of the ball and are able to clear their lines.
Yeah, first time they haven't really dealt with the ball. Smart from Australia. Every cross so far in the 6-yard box hasn't come off, but they swung it towards the edge of the area and it was well hit by Heatley. But yeah, brilliant defending once again. It's that body on the line defending that they're getting absolutely spot on at the moment, Philippines.
Just packing out the area as much as they can, really. And Beard's going to go for another long throw here. And launches up the line. This one's won by Wheeler. And it's picked up now by Raso. Van Egmond to Kerr. This is better into Ford, who is just not observant enough there and loses possession. Does fall back, though, to Wheeler. Now Carpenter in the wide right space. Wheeler clipping it in towards the back post. Not fully dealt with there by Long, who just sends it back across. Carpenter. What can she make happen? Ball in there, Beard. Did well to stand her up, but she gets the ball in. Cleared away well by Sawiki. And out again for a Carpenter throw. Wheeler trying to create the angle for the cross. Does get the ball in towards the back post. 4 heads across. Kerr there to score. And of course she scores. Sam Kerr heads home 13 minutes into this game. A ball floated to the back post by Wheeler, nodded back across the box by Caitlin Ford, and Sam Kerr in the exact right position to head that one home. Turned home brilliantly, and Australia take the lead in this game. It's Australia 1, Philippines 0.
Perfect start for Australia. Exactly what they were looking for. They were just toying with the Philippines there, keeping them under pressure. And the hosts strike first. Really well worked from the throat between Carpenter and Wheeler. It's a great ball in, and Ford does really well at the far post to win the header and knock it back across goal to Kerr, who isn't going to miss from there. Sam Kerr, brilliant header of the football, was always going to find the back of the net. Much better from Australia. Really nice move from the throw. And yeah, an important goal because the Philippines are sitting deep, but to take the lead is massive.
Yeah, it should open the game up a little bit more now. Philippines can't afford to just sit on their goal line and try and get the point. But they are going to come forwards now. Ball poked through the lines. McDaniel holds it up well. Now back out wide to Frill, who's looking here to be dangerous. Wants to take on Steph Catley. And that ball is put into the box for Lincoln. Will get there at the front post. That's exactly, though, what we were saying a few moments ago about this game, where they're lacking central penetration. They're lacking creativity, Australia. But if they can get the ball wide, use their height advantage, that's going to give them a route to goal. And we see it there. I mean, we say Sam Kerr is going to be crucial. That's exactly why. Rosso now getting the ball into the box. That one, much more tame an effort and an easy claim for goalkeeper McDaniel. But using their height there and Sam Kerr in absolute poacher's instincts in the right position. Great header across from Ford, and Sam Kerr does the business.
Yeah.
Ball goes long. Hunt hasn't fully dealt with that one. Puts Catley under a bit of pressure here, but she'll have no issues recovering the ball, and Australia now can build out from this deep position. And Hunt carrying it forwards. Across to Heatley. Now back across the back line. And it's into Catley, who looks down the line, doesn't like the options on though. And they'll switch from left to right again here, Australia. Here's Heatley. Picked up well there by Beard, who just knocks out of play. Chooses the smart option. Phil says, I'm off to walk the dog. Catch you all for the second half. Thank you, Phil. I thought that was an innuendo for a moment, but I think he is actually off for a dog walk. Here is Hunt. But yeah, Australia now building to the left-hand side. I think a big determiner in this game will be the next goal.
Yeah.
If Philippines can bounce back and score, at least hold on for a while in this game, it's going to give them a shot. If Australia score again, I think this could be 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because they're moving the ball quite nicely now. They've picked up the pace a lot, and they're finding more gaps in this Philippine structure. Gorey into Heatley. Again, they'll shift from right to left now. Hunt. Catley. Gives it to Ford. Catley makes the run beyond. Lovely give and go. Here's Steph Catley. Cuts it into the box. And that delivery not quite finding its intended target. Cleared away. Ford picks up on the ball. Takes it past Sawiki. Now finds Catley. Back to Ford, who bounces it back into Van Egmond, who's just dropped into left back for the moment. Carries it forward into Ford to Catley. Now Wheeler. Lovely football from Australia in this passage as they're forced backwards. Hunt looks to switch the play. Great diagonal ball to Carpenter. Rasso makes the deceiving run. Carpenter shifts inside. Gorey now has Rasso in this wide space. Forced backwards again. Can they find that breakthrough? Again, Australia. Can they break through this Philippine system? Hunt drilled out to the right-hand side. Gorey finds a pocket to drive into. Lovely from Gorey into Carpenter. Round the corner to Rasso. Ball towards the back post and Van Egmond heading over the bar. Lovely move from Australia. Not quite able to cap it with a goal.
Brilliant football from the Matildas. Philippines were chasing for that whole move. They just could not keep up. Brilliant drive from Gorey. Just opened up the final third. And really, not a bad ball in at all from Rasso. And Van Egmond really should have hit the target from there. Unmarked in the penalty area. And heading over. Got to do better.
Indeed, and we see Montemurro react there, and I was more intrigued by how he was wearing his lanyard than his actual reaction, because I've never seen a human wear a lanyard like that before. Very unique style there for Montemurro, bringing the the fashion to the Women's Asian Cup. Ball out here to the left-hand side, and the Philippines do manage to win a throw-in, and Pino will drop the ball, because once again, it's Beard coming up the line to launch it long.
I'll be intrigued to see with Philippines and what happens if they can get one of these Beard long throws further up the pitch.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Just go up the line constantly, try and get Australia to head it out of play. Van Egmond picked off high here by Beard, slots it through the lines. Big challenge there from Katrina Gorey, who comes in out of nowhere to win back possession. And Australia building now to the left-hand side. Hunt. Into Van Egmond. Now Hunt. Options to the left-hand side. Into Van Egmond. Touch is a little bit loose there. Does keep possession though. And Australia move from left to right. Here's Wheeler making the run in the channel. Knocks it wide to Rasso. Overlapping is Carpenter, and she finds her well. Can Carpenter find the delivery? She's forced wide by Beard and into this corner. She'll drop now and find Rasso, who tries to take on Beard, and that's given as a free kick. I think that was a little unlucky there, because I thought that was a genuine attempt for the ball. I mean, Wheeler does well to make a meal of that, you feel. But it's been given as an Australia free kick. I'm not sure how much contact she actually made there.
Yeah, she does. She catches that. It's a bit of an unfortunate one. And it's conceding a free kick in a very dangerous position.
Indeed. And we saw a moment ago how that height advantage for Australia today can pay dividends. They can put this ball in the right area. They could capitalise once again. As you say, great position for this free kick. Catley over this. Discussing with Van Egmond how to make the best of this situation. Philippines opting for 2 in the war from this angle. What can Catley come up with? Catley looking to deliver options. Crowding the penalty area. Kerr very central. Ball in there. Kerr will challenge the keeper. Good goalkeeping from McDaniel. And there is an offside flag up on Sam Kerr. It did look like she'd just gone a little bit early there. And flagged offside by the lino on this near side.
Yeah. Good goalkeeping from McDaniel. To be fair. Convincing punch away. But yeah, Kerr was quite far offside. Wouldn't have counted if she had got there first, but that's a good piece of confident goalkeeping. That's going to be important throughout this game if the Philippines are to keep the scoreline down.
It's one of those from Kerr where you try that because there's every chance that flag doesn't go up.
Yeah. And
you just take that risk in a competition without VAR.
Yeah, it has got VAR.
Oh, we have got VAR. Oh, there's no reason then.
Yeah.
Actually, no reason to do that. Stay onside. So yeah, that would have been flagged off even if she had headed home. Philippines getting another throw on this left-hand side then, and a little bit higher up the pitch on this occasion.
Yeah, you feel like if they can win one that is within proximity of the penalty area so that Beard can throw it into the 18-yard box, that's where they could potentially nick a goal.
She might get it in the 18-yard box here. It's not far away from it. It's headed away. Beard launching it straight up in the air. A difficult one for them to deal with in the Australia backline, but it is headed away well by Heatley. They look to move it forward quickly. Lovely nod on there from Kerr. Ford can't quite take it in her stride. Notches it out to the left-hand side. Catley. Now Gorey. Lovely movement from Katrina Gorey. That allows Heatley now to step up with possession. Knocks it wide for Rasso. Lovely movement to adjust and receive it. Rasso, though, doesn't back herself in that foot race against Beard. Opts to go backwards. Carpenter, Heatley, Rasso onto Wheeler. Lovely football. Can she find the cut back? It's cleared away well. Could have been a better delivery there from Wheeler.
Absolutely. The movement from Hayley Rasso there and the dummy deserved a goal. Absolutely brilliant.
Here's Carpenter to the left-hand side again. Tries to get around Beard, who does well there to stand her up. And it has been given as a corner. It looked like Carpenter may have just ran that off, but has got a corner from it.
Yeah, understandably frustrated there, Beard, because she's made a great tackle and should have won a goal kick from it.
But this gives Australia another chance to put the ball into the box. It feels like their greatest chance of threatening Philippines is just putting the ball in the area. Every time at the moment, they've got that height advantage in certain positions. They've got players who are great at heading the ball, and that does feel the one area where Philippines are getting a little bit mixed up. Van Egmond lays it in there well, and it's a good run in towards the back post from Hunt, but the header doesn't match it.
Well, that's a let-off for the Philippines. No one picked up Claire Hunt there, running in late. And it wasn't a free header in the end, but yeah, can't allow Hunt to just kind of work her way into the penalty area like that.
Yeah, indeed. And we'll see that replay again. I think Wheeler's got to do better there.
Yeah.
It's a lovely move between herself and Raso. Raso, really intelligent play to leave it. But I think that ball across the box has got to be better.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a bit too flat. It wasn't a low-driven cross, but it wasn't a lofted cross. It was in between and quite easy, a nice height to be able to block it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the Philippines have reacted well. They're under pressure, but it's now been 10 minutes since that goal went in. Yeah, it's been a good reaction. They've held, they're holding on at the moment.
Yeah, I think they've responded well. I think for the Philippines, it's very much they're keeping their game plan as it is. They know goal difference could be important. They know this isn't the game in the group where it's particularly winnable. But if they can keep it at 1-0, it gives them a chance later on to score.
Yeah.
Or it's only a 1-0 loss. If this is 3 or 4, that could be the difference in whether they progress into the next round or not. Ford breaks down the left-hand side, looking for the cutback now. Blocked away well. And it was Long who just got in front of that cutback from Caitlin Ford and prevented that ball from being a dangerous delivery. Yeah, because we're looking at this tournament and some models say 3 points, some say 4 points is probably the sweet spot. But depending on the groups, you can get through with 3 points. That Iran game for the Philippines is so crucial.
Yeah.
But a draw here would mean a win against Iran would be they'd practically guarantee them into the next round. Ford gives it back to Wheeler, who carries it forwards, tries to poke it into the channel there, just over hit from Claire Wheeler, but I don't mind the idea.
Yeah. Again, if there's someone there, that's a perfect ball and probably 2-0, but not quite coming off. But I think the other thing that the Philippines are getting right at the moment is the management of the game. They're not chasing after, loose balls that they're never going to get. They're managing it very well in terms of when they push up, when they drop deep, when they go out to players, or when they just, sit off a little bit. It's been, that no one's diving in and being reckless and kind of panicking. They're well reserved at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Ball out to this left-hand side from the Philippines, and that a little more rushed. That will be an Australia throw-in. Carpenter. Now, Heatley moves it across the back line to Hunt. Heatley finds Catley. Kim Duffy, welcome to the stream, asks who scored. It was Sam Kerr with her first of the tournament. First of many, you would think. Now into Hunt. I'd be thoroughly surprised if it's her only goal of this tournament.
Yeah.
I'd be a little surprised if it's her only goal of this game. Ball forwards into Kerr. Flicks on. Tried to find Ford. Really well cut out there. I think it was Sawiki who got in front of it again. Australia moving to the right-hand side, and it's picked off high, and a chance here for McDaniel, but it's really good recovery from Hunt. Heatley just got caught in possession there. Could have spelled a bit of danger. Hunt able to sweep up effectively. Wheeler into Catley, who holds the width. Or forward, sorry. Now to Catley down the line. Back to Caitlin Ford. Now Van Egmond, who lifts the ball in there, looking for Kerr, who heads it back. No support, though, on the penalty spot there, and it's cleared away well by the Philippines, nodded on by McDaniel. And while Pino will bust a gut to try and get in there, Heatley has no issues recovering possession.
That'll be the big concern for the Philippines at the moment, is they just can't make it stick up there.
No.
The front two, off the ball, just can't seem to trap it and to allow their team to get up the pitch.
Kerr. Perhaps it wide into Caitlin Ford. Now inside to Gorey. Gorey, a brilliant pivot player in these kind of positions, just spins on the ball well and out now to the right-hand side. A pass inside to Van Egmond. And now Gorey plays it wide. Heatley. Gorey. Ford now. Can't quite drive through that central position, and it's cleared away with some distance on that clearance.
Yeah, again, Philippines doing well, remaining solid, and just forcing Australia back. That's all they've got to keep doing is just keep Australia where they are, force that error, pounce on it, and at the moment they're just clearing out the field. Eventually they've got to start to look to try and hold it up and do something with it.
Carpenter. Back now to Heatley. Out to the left-hand side. Catley. Finds Hunt. Inside now to Katrina Gorey. Who's going to lift that in behind. Great movement from Rasso. She's on. Puts it over the keeper. And does the flag follow? No, it doesn't. Australia double their advantage in this game. Hayley Rasso breaks in behind. A great ball to pick her out. And lifts it over the goalkeeper. Everyone in the stadium looked over at the liner, expecting the flag to go up. But Hayley Rasso appears to have timed that to perfection.
Yeah, really good from Rasso. They are going to take a quick look at this because for all the world, it looked like she'd gone too early. Let's have a look here. Yeah, she's offside.
Yeah. I think even Hayley Rasso,
yeah,
look, after she scores, she looks back at the cross at the liner, expecting the flag to go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this goal will be disallowed. Rasso just moves too early there.
Yeah, and as you see, as the ball hits the back of the net, the lineswoman's only just getting there. I think she may have just switched off a little bit, and I don't think this one's going to count.
That's why we have VAR in this competition, though, to check moments like this, help the officials out, and I'm sure we'll get a verdict fairly swiftly. Referee delaying the restart so VAR can check this goal. I mean, it looked to the naked eye like she'd gone too early. You watch the replay, it's fairly apparent that she's gone too early in that one. Tamer asking who scored. Hayley Rasso has put the ball in the back of the net. Whether or not it will stand, we'll find out shortly. Referee has now reached a decision, or VAR have reached a decision, and the goal has been disallowed. So Hayley Rasso's goal disallowed for offside. I think even Rasso was expecting that one. As she scored, she turned around to look at the lino. The whole stadium turned to look at the lino. The referee seemed to be bemused the lino hadn't given it. And now the Philippines are able to have this free kick. So the goal taken away from Rasso. It remains Australia 1, Philippines 0.
Yeah. Some people will argue it's a let-off for the Philippines. Others will argue that it was deservedly off because they held their line well. Depends which side of the fence you sit on.
Ball not nudged out of play, and that will give Australia the throw-in. I think it was a brilliant, brilliant line there from Philippines. What caught Rasso out?
But yeah, they'll be looking at now, Philippines, 14 minutes away from half-time. Can they get into the break only one behind, or maybe can they nick a leveller? I'd be surprised. Saying that in a shot yet, but you never know.
But if they get one opportunity, this Australia line is incredibly high.
Yes.
There are moments where they've got 2 players on the halfway line. Everyone else seems to be in the Philippines' third. Carpenter. Now Gorey. Clipping it down the line. Finds Carpenter again in a pocket of space. Rasso goes down off the ball, so can't support. Wheeler. Carpenter. Clips it in there, looking for Kerr. Good defending, though. Stepped up really well there, did Long. And intervened. Ball down the left-hand side now, though. Ford just seems to get a little bit caught up into where that ball is. And it is one back by the Philippines. Touched home by Sawicki.
Brilliant from McDaniel, by the way. Running down the clock in the 32nd minute. Not running down, but just, again, really good game management.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Well, Philippines have an idea of how they're playing today. I think it's smart they haven't changed that despite conceding.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in them going for this game at the start and then losing 4-0, losing 5-0, losing 6-0, or 8-0 like they did at the Olympics. There's no reason to do that.
Yeah.
If they can either stay in this game to try and push for it later or minimise the loss, it gives them the best chance of progressing. So, this isn't a game where it's a realistic win, but it's a chance for them to stay in the tournament if they don't get battered today. I mean, Australia have had 88% of the ball.
That's the highest possession percentage I think I've seen in a very long time.
Ever.
Yeah. 88%.
Carpenter wins it high, looks to cut it back, and can't quite find a teammate, and they'll look to break away quickly here. McDaniel knocking it to the right-hand side. No support up there, though, with the Philippines.
Yeah, they've got to find a way to try and keep someone up there.
They're lacking Bolden.
Yeah.
If you think about how the Philippines function, Bolden holds that ball up, brings others into the game, makes those runs in behind. Without that, they don't have a target to aim for.
Yeah.
Wheeler into Ford in the pocket. Needs some support here, Ford. Trying to wriggle a bit of space for herself. Finds Wheeler. Knocks it down the line. Great movement from Steph Catley, who cuts it back, and it's cleared away well. Catley loving being back in this left-back role.
Yeah.
I think obviously doing a great job at centre-half for Arsenal has fulfilled a function in that system, but having that freedom to bomb up and down the lines, he seems to be thriving. Raso lifting it towards the back post, not coming to anything, and Pino now will look to carry this ball forwards for the Philippines and knocks it up the line. There's just no intention to hold on to the ball from the Philippines. I think is the only problem with what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Completely understand why they're sitting deep, but yeah, they're just not. They're not finding either their strikers. It's just lump ball forwards.
There's a difference between defensive football and negative football. Defensive football, as you say, you try to hold. You sit deep, but you try to hold the ball up. You try to have possession, and you look to counter attack. Negative football is just defend and don't do anything else.
Ball on to Carpenter. It looked like she just missed time that, and then the flag does follow. Philippines free kick.
Yeah, again, well held their line by the Philippines. Another chance just to see the time tick down. They'll be looking at half time and hoping they can get to the interval still in a good position. Yeah, they have defended valiantly after falling a goal behind. I mentioned in the build-up, it's very common that once the stronger team get the first goal, we kind of see a bit of an onslaught. But the Philippines have done well to hang on in there and keep Australia at bay.
Yeah, I think Mark Tokaso will be happy with how they've started in terms of they're doing exactly what they wanted to do defensively. I don't think there would have been any intention to actually attack. So while there will be frustration from fans that they haven't really had a shot, haven't got the ball forwards at all, you know, I think that won't be a source of frustration for Tokaso. Raso back now into Heatley, who lifts that ball over the top. Gory here's make the run beyond. Trying to hold the ball up. Cuts it back to Raso. Has just taken that off the field, though, and that will be a Philippines goal kick. Don't mind them trying to stretch the play quite quickly there, though.
Yeah, not at all. Gory's played really well. She's absolutely everywhere. It's incredible. She, 1 minute she pops up, and she's playing around at the back. 30 seconds later, she's combining in the penalty area. Brilliant from Gory across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 minutes left, though, of this first half. Is there an opportunity at the end of this half? The Philippines use the upcoming break as a bit of motivation to try and get forwards?
I don't think they want to risk going into half-time 2-0 down. I think this is very much a mentality of we'll sit like this at 1-0 for 70 minutes and then we'll try and nick a leveller late on. Yeah.
No, I broadly agree. I think if they can try and get a corner on 46 minutes or something like that, get the keeper in the box.
And that's
take a risk.
That's what they haven't done. I'm not expecting them to throw bodies forwards and be aggressive, but they haven't won free kick. They need, you've got to be smart things. Win throw-ins heart of the pitch, win corners, win free kicks in decent positions. They just haven't been able to do any of that, mainly because they haven't had any of the ball.
Yeah.
But we saw that one deep free kick that the goalkeeper came up and took on the halfway line, and that was overhit. But that's they know they've got the distance, and so can they get someone to hold the ball up on the halfway line and potentially win a free kick?
Raso tries to drive inside. That's a little late. I think Raso does well to buy it there, but there was enough contact. Disallowed just goes in a bit of a dangerous position. It gives Australia a great position now for this free kick.
Oh, she gets a foot on the... That's unlucky. She gets a toe to the ball before she gets Raso. I think she's unfortunate there. I really do. But as you say, that is not a great position to give away a free kick whatsoever. And this is a great chance for Australia to have a go for goal here.
Yeah, I mean, Kathleen Van Egmond over this. Ford as well in the discussion. Will it be Kathleen? Will it be Van Egmond? Do you think at this position you want a left footer?
Yeah.
Just to try and curve that up and over the wall and in towards the near post. You could even go round and look for that far post, depending on the goalkeeper's positioning here. I think it will be Catley. Van Egmond is still there. But it's Catley who's positioning the football. And a great chance to test the Philippines goalkeeper again here. Just got to get this on target. Catley and Van Egmond still posted around the ball. I think it will be Catley to hit it though. Referee signals to allow them to take. Van Egmond may at least sell the dummy here. But it will be Catley to take. Puts it on target. That's a great stop. Really good stop there from McDaniel, who covers the ground well and able to palm it out of play.
Yeah, really good save from McDaniel. The first time she's really been called into action, bar the goal. That's a fine stop. Gets two. It's confident goalkeeping again. Two hands to it. Convincingly puts it out for a corner. Doesn't parry it into danger. It's a great save.
Yeah, just scurries across her goal line well. Pushes it out of play. It does now give Australia this corner. Ball in from Gorey towards the back post, and Heatley was running onto it. Kerr wasn't aware of that and actually takes the ball away from her teammate. Philippines now looking to clear it away. And the ball knocked up the line, blocked again.
That could just come inside. I'm not really sure why that needed to go back out wide and just be smashed up the line.
But it's the risk, isn't it? If you play it central and lose it in there, you give Australia an opportunity where you are quite open.
I know.
So I completely agree. It's frustrating to watch, but I do understand it from the Philippines' perspective. They're just minimising risk today.
I mean, that throw hasn't even come into play.
Not ideal. From Harrison there.
Should you get another go?
Or Winchester. Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind.
That is very kind. That's. I mean, unless it completely didn't come in, I suppose that it never actually came onto the pitch.
Never actually took the throw.
Yeah.
Just preparing. Van Egmond, that's cut out in midfield. Forwards back to Van Egmond, lifting it over the top. Ford now with 4 on her back, chasing her, but she cuts inside, and that's cleared away. And Ford was so far ahead of those 4 players chasing her down. Gotta do better there for me, Caitlin Ford.
Yeah, actually more direct, come towards goal, but her first touch, there was a heavy touch in there, which then meant she had to put a lot of work in to keep it in play and then end up losing the ball.
Philippines would just say 37% pass accuracy.
41 passes completed. You do not win games of football, let alone score goals.
It's 1 a minute.
That is one.
They're making 1 pass a minute at the moment, the Philippines. Wheeler slips it through the lines, and that's going to roll out of play. And out for a goal kick.
But they've only conceded 1, and that's what matters.
Absolutely. That's what they're here to do. GT says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, GT. Welcome to the stream.
I mean, they do need to have a few more passes. 41 passes in 41 minutes of football is not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, as Jason says, Philippines have 0 plans to win this game. I think the aim now, objective for Philippines, is just to hold out. The longer they hold out, the better are the chances they can get something. Because if it's 1-0 in the 89th minute,
that's the thing.
They could try and get a goal, and maybe they get a point from this.
The way they're viewing it is that although it's 1-0, they're treating it like it's 0-0. And then nicking a draw would be like winning the game for them, really. But they've won a free. The ball's gone long. Carpenter's committed a foul. They've won a free kick, and this has got to be used once again very smartly. Surely the goalkeeper takes this again, and they just look to, punt it into the penalty area like they did the first time. But this is what they've got to do more of. That was better. They went direct. They held on to it, and they've won a free kick. And yes, the goalkeeper's going to come up and take it.
A few players fancied it.
And I think they're going to pick up a yellow card for it. Oh, no.
No, the ref wanted to run at it. I love watching competitions from different countries because the refereeing style is so different. We see it in the World Cup, but I love refs who run into the action. Ball punted along again, and a comfortable claim for Lincoln.
I mean, that's 2 free kicks that are just absolutely wasted.
Yeah. You've got to get that. You've got to take a little bit off that.
Yeah. The goalkeeper taking it, I think, is the right idea. But she should have learned from the first time and just, as you say, just taken a little bit off it.
Or you've got to hit it more diagonally.
Yeah.
Because you're just punting it straight at the goal. And the chance of maybe you get a light touch on it and it takes it past the goalkeeper or something. But what you really need to do is just aim it towards the back post and get the runners towards that back post. Australia now on the left-hand side. Here's Caitlin Ford. Has found a pocket to work with. Cutting it into the box. Another delivery that doesn't quite come off there for Ford. That's one back by Kawat. Kawat who's going to go up the line.
Or at least the problem is also with those free kicks is that they're going into Lincoln's hands, but she's miles off her line. If you're gonna put it on her, go put a bit more on it and make her catch it on her goal line, because then she's got no room for error.
But also the next time you do it, you drop her deeper.
Yeah. Because
she's then going to be worried about that ball being on top of her. That's brilliant. Really smart there from the midfielder. And I think it was Egersvik who just got her body in there and draws the foul well.
That's the first time they've turned it over, realised Australia were caught a little hard at the pitch and looked to do something with it. And they've done well to win a free kick. But if anything, they might be a bit frustrated that they were fouled because that was much better.
Fouled, and it's not a yellow card as well. I'm a little surprised there. It's one of those. I think if it wasn't the first half, Wheeler probably goes into the book. I
think also it was kind of 50% Hunt, 50% Wheeler.
You can't book them both.
No. So here we go. Now it's a bit deeper, so now she doesn't need to take any off it.
Yeah. Launch it with the same power.
Here we go. Although they're a lot hot. Australia are doing well to stay high.
Ball in there. That gives them something to compete for. Headed across and cleared away by Katrina Gorey. Cowart gets up to the clearance, heads it back forwards. Kerr then wins the second ball. Russo, Kerr to Van Egmond. A minute of additional time in this first half. Wide now with Ford, who loops it into the area. Headed away well in there by Long. And cleared Long by Egersvik. Brought down by Heatley. Hunt, Catley. Australia looking to the left-hand side. Down the line into Russo, who's just momentarily swapped with Caitlin Ford. Catley, Russo. Now back to Hunt. Heatley, can they find a pass through the lines here, Australia? Van Egmond, and that pass back to Carpenter, slightly astray. Back inside of Van Egmond, tries to poke it down the line. One back by Australia. And that will probably be the end of the first half. Heatley plays it inside, and that is the half-time whistle. The opening game of the 2026 Women's Asian Cup. At half-time, it's Australia 1, Philippines 0. A 14th minute header from Sam Kerr. A ball floated into the box, headed back by Caitlin Ford, back across the box, and Kerr was able to touch it home with the head. And at the break, Australia have the advantage. Philippines have barely made a pass in that first half, and Australia have taken full advantage.
Yeah, really good stuff from the Matildas, starting well with Kerr's goal. They'd have liked to have pushed on and probably claimed a few more. Sam Kerr not happy about something here, with arguing with the officials as they come in at the break. But yeah, I think they'll be frustrated, Australia. They haven't got more of a commanding lead because, yes, Philippines have defended well, but they haven't really done much else. And with the amount of pressure that the Aussies have put them under, I think that the hosts would have liked to have been 2 or 3 up, but at 1-0, it's still very much a competitive game, despite the fact Philippines haven't really laid a finger on them yet.
Yeah, it absolutely feels that way. I think we're watching a game where this is a game where a couple of years ago, and we saw it at the Olympics actually as a great example, but a couple of years ago, this would have been a game where Philippines try and play and Australia just drub them.
Yeah.
And we think back to old World Cups, 2019, even in that 2015, and the US winning games by 9-0 and games like that. Similar story in the Asian Cup with some of those fixtures. But what we're seeing now is that teams who perhaps don't have the quality of player and the quality of team are able to find a way to compete, and it's not attractive. No one's watching this Philippines football and saying this is the greatest thing I ever watched, I'm having so much fun. But it is effective because they're not 3-0 down, they're not 4-0 down at half time. Yes, Australia have had 88% of the ball, 327 passes made in the first half, but they've only taken 5 shots.
Yeah.
And only put 2 on target.
Yeah.
despite the scoreline, that feels like a success for the Philippines, who have only taken one shot themselves and have barely got out.
Yeah.
So when the goalkeeper punted it straight at the keeper, to be fair.
Oh yeah.
Might be the shot. But I think at least they're giving themselves a platform from which they can compete in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're doing their job effectively. If you don't look at their stats and you look at Australia's stats, they are stats that favour the Philippines. Those 2 shots on target were the goal and the Catley free kick. Apart from that, Australia have not hit the target. That is not good enough. They've had 88% of the ball and have failed to really create anything. The goal was really well worked, but apart from that, they have had nothing. And without that free kick, they had 1 shot on target. It's been dominant in terms of possession and in terms of territory for Australia, but they've done absolutely nothing with it. And because Philippines aren't threatening, it doesn't matter at the moment. But if Philippines can hit them on the counter and nick a goal, suddenly that's a massive consequence. I think the reason that it looks nicer for the Matildas is the fact that Philippines haven't come forward against a stronger opposition. I think that they'd have capitalised, and this game would potentially be level at half time because, Australia have got to be better in the final third.
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't be too negative about Australia at this stage, but I do think there are obviously concerns. There's always this is classic Montemurro football. But I think just before we get to that, I would say it may be surprising that we're quite complimentary of the Philippines, but when we consider their aspirations at this tournament, are they realistic contenders to win it? Absolutely not.
No.
But qualification for the 2027 World Cup is awarded to, I believe, all quarterfinalists.
Wow.
So this gives them a great opportunity to get into that stage of the competition and put themselves in a position where they're able then to make it to the next World Cup, which is exactly what they want, to inspire the next generation to get to the World Cup in Brazil. And means they then don't have to worry too much about qualifiers and stuff like that, which would be quite difficult to get through. And the best chance of them getting through that is not by trying to beat Australia.
Yeah.
The best chance of getting through that is they only lose 1-0 to Australia, they only lose 1-0 to South Korea, and they beat Iran.
Yeah.
Because then they have a positive goal difference, they have 3 points, and a great chance then that they get through in that third place. So, yeah, I think there is. You want them to be playing a slightly higher standard of football, but this is their best chance of getting something from this tournament. So, yeah, I think this is exactly what the Philippines want to do. If they can hold on, if they can limit Australia from taking shots, it puts them in a position to try and win this game. But yeah, brings us semi-finalists. Okay, and there is a playoff for quarterfinal losers for 2 more spots. So there is the opportunity there. There is that opportunity to try and get into the World Cup from there. And if they got the playoff and it was a more favourable game, or if they were able to get into the quarterfinals and perhaps win just by playing this style of play and nicking a goal or something, that gets some World Cup qualification. That's ultimately what the Philippines want from this competition. They're not going to win it, but they do want to get to the World Cup. Yeah,
absolutely. It's exactly what I said at the start of the show, where they're looking now to build a run of tournaments. Philippines want to be consistently competing on the international stage with the best of the best, and showing that, of course, there's still a golfing quality, but if they're there, that's going to help them grow. It's massively going to help, especially as a country. If they're going to keep turning up at these tournaments, people are going to get behind them and watch them, and that's exactly what they're looking for. I think that the other thing as well is that when they saw this group stage draw, they saw this fixture against Australia, they viewed it as a chance to redeem themselves from that. I think it was 8-0 a couple of years ago, but not redeem themselves in terms of go out and beat Australia. That wasn't ever going to happen. But
get exact revenge, 8-0.
Yeah, beat Australia 8-0 in their own backyard. But they want to come and redeem themselves, but by competing and putting on a decent display. And the fact they're going in at 1-0 down at half time is much, much stronger, and that's exactly what they look to do. Second half will be a big test, because that is sometimes where we can see the defensive style of football be blown wide open, and then they're in for a long 45 minutes. But if they can hang on in there, they could walk off this pitch with a very respectable loss, even if they don't take anything from the game. And I think that although it'd still be a loss and it wouldn't count for anything, from losing 8-0 a couple of years ago to only losing 1-2-0 this year would show the progression across there. It would show the improvement. But the fact they're here is brilliant, and as you say, that they know they're not here to compete with the likes of Australia, but they're here to try and do their country proud and see what they can do. Try and upset and ruffle a few feathers.
Well, let's talk Australia then, because I feel the same things that make them real contenders for me are making them, or are seeing them struggle a little bit at this moment. I think the way that Montemurro plays, it can become very stagnant. And again, against teams who drop deep, we are just watching them struggle to break the Philippines down a lot of this game. 2 shots on target, 5 shots total. In a game where the Philippines just aren't even touching the ball, it's not really enough from Australia for me. They've got the goal, and that's important, but I don't think they're moving it quick enough. And I think a large part of that is Montemurro's football, but another part of that is the age of this squad. There's not that explosivity. We're seeing a little bit from Carpenter, but there's no one else who can pick up that ball and burst with it.
Yeah.
And if they had Mary Fowler available, maybe that looks significantly different. But I do think that experience is going to come in handy later in this competition. When we're getting to the knockouts, when they're facing teams like Japan, who are going to have a bit of a higher line, teams like China, who are going to have a bit of a higher line, albeit, China are brilliant defensively still, but they have changed their system coming into this tournament. When they're playing those kind of teams, this experience will get them through the games.
Yeah.
Because you've got a lot of players here who have played in the biggest games, in the biggest competitions, won the biggest prizes in football, play week in, week out football in Europe, and I think that definitely helps them. But it does mean in games like this, where perhaps you just want players with a little bit more freedom and a little bit more expression to play, and perhaps try and open up that space in a slightly different way, it does feel that Australia are playing quite structured system, and with a lot of players who are a bit vintage at this stage, brilliant players in their day, and obviously that experience is really important, but it does mean they are moving the ball a little bit slower and not quite, there's no explosivity in that Australia attack.
Yeah, it's one of those where I think the squad is an overall mix, but as you say, this 11 is very much leaning to that experienced side. I'll be intrigued to see how, I think that it will get better. You look at the likes of Fowler on the bench and McNamara, they're players that can come in and offer a bit of play, offer just something different and look a bit more lively. And I think that's definitely will help them in the second half. But it'll be about mixing and matching. I think they'll Montemurro's got to look further into the tournament once the likes of Fowler are fully fit to mix that experience with, that talent, that energy. And I think, Fowler's obviously still got quite a lot of experience. He's a top player, but not compared to the front three that's starting today. But yeah, I think they'll look to mix it up a bit because, as you say, you haven't got really anyone on the pitch at them, especially with the form of Raso and Ford. You haven't really got anyone on the pitch that I look at and they could take 2 or 3 players on and score a wonder goal or make something magical happen. Sam Kerr's a big game player and a brilliant poacher, but she's not going to take 3 or 4 players on and create a brilliant chance.
I think it's a bit of a shame the way these matches have panned out for Australia, because playing South Korea in the final match week means they're probably going to have to play their strongest team throughout. Like if they had an Iran or a Philippines in that final game and they'd already won their other 2 matches, then you're probably looking at a very young team going out in that game. But yeah, I think for Australia, the big work's going to have to come over the next few years in terms of bringing youth into this team. They've got a lot of young talent that's super exciting. Players like Shelby McMahon, I think, are going to be really top players, but there seems to be a huge gap. All their players are either 17 or 33.
Yeah.
Like they've got a couple of players like Fowler, and Fowler's going to be, I think, a huge leader for them going forwards, especially as we expect a lot of the more experienced players in the squad to retire from international football over the next few years. You'd think they'll all play in this current World Cup cycle, but after that, we'd probably expect a few retirees. So, yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see how they bleed in that new generation. You think there will be changes later in this game. Mark's saying bring on McNamara, Sayer and Fowler about the 65th minute. Yeah, I think that would be quite fun. Make that triple change. Fowler is out to warm up, but I think she's a player who, if she was fully fit and coming off a season with City where she had been playing regularly, you'd probably be seeing her start in this game.
Yeah.
But obviously, given the fact that she's literally only came back a few weeks ago from a pretty major injury, it's understandable Australia are going to take it lightly with her. But yeah, McNamara's been killing it, I believe, in the A-League this season. So yeah, I'm keen to see some different faces in the Australia squad, and keen to see them prepare actually for the future, bring in some of those younger players and see what they've got to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in this game, it will probably be what just sees Philippines off in terms of that tiring back line. If we see that those kind of players come on, even with this score line, they're very likely to just nick a couple of goals and then Australia walk off with a pretty convincing victory. That will make the difference. I think as the game goes on, Philippines will tire. Australia's got a stronger bench, and that will probably see them. It's the kind of game where Philippines could keep it at 1-0 for still quite a while, but Australia could score 2 or 3 goals in the last 20 minutes and just walk off the pitch with what is a very, very comfortable margin in the end. But yeah, I'll be intrigued to see how the Philippines are going to play it in this second half. When's their go point? When will they judge that they can go on to start maybe to make things happen in the final
minute?
Maybe they'll just sit on their goal line, try and keep it at 1-0, and then just go for it. But yeah, I think the Australian fans will be very happy with what they've seen so far. They'll be hoping that their team can kick on in the second half.
That's the kind of sign, by the way. That clearly took effort.
Yeah.
Don't love signs at football, but that took effort. That one deserves it. But yeah, I'll be intrigued to see what happens. I mean, the chat actually disagrees with you, the polling chat, because you mentioned there you think Australia are going to get better in the second half. The poll shifted. Started the stream, Australia 75%. We're now at half-time. Australia dropped to 65%, and 28% of people think the Philippines are going to win this game.
Wow. That is some very optimistic people.
Some very optimistic fans of the Philippines.
That had 46 passes in 45 minutes. It's going to take something. It's going to take something incredible.
But it only takes a couple of passes to get the goal and find a way back into this game. It's still in the balance. If they can continue to be defensively strong in this second half, Marta Sayer is very good. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see her in this team. But yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how actually Australia look over the next few years. Because they've lost this generation that have been very strong, that have got to 2 Asian Cup finals and didn't quite come off for them. This is the crowning moment. Say finalists at the World Cup in 23, this is the crowning moment you feel. How they then adjust afterwards and bleed in some of those young players is going to be really interesting to me. Because I think there's so much talent in the Australian leagues. I think there's so many young Australian players coming through at the moment. But it's just going to be about that adaptation. Yeah. But yeah, I think they've got some great leaders already in the likes of Cooney Cross and Fowler that will be leading that next generation. It's whether the talent will realise its potential, because if so, they've probably got another team that will be just as strong as this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's one of those where they'll be building on that semi-finals, those final appearances. If they can build on that, use that as the platform to push into the next era, then they could become a real force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, both sets of players back out to the field. It doesn't look like there's going to be any changes at half-time. Australia had all of the ball, but couldn't quite fully realise how much dominance they had, really, leading by a 0-0. Can they kick on in this second half? As for the Philippines, well, they've got to test the goalkeeper more. One shot in this game, and to call it a shot feels disingenuous to the statistic, because it was a lumped ball from the goalkeeper on a free kick that ended up in the hands of the other goalkeeper. But they've got to take shots. They've got to test the Australian goalkeeper. Lincoln has barely played football at the international level, has struggled domestically by all accounts this season. You've got to test her. Really got to test her more. 1 clean sheet, 31 conceded in 16 matches in the A-League this season. Got to test her more. I feel that's where Philippines are lacking at the moment. But if they can start getting shots away, maybe they can find a route back into this game.
Yeah, those goals. It's going to be a change for all the Philippines.
Okay, we've got a substitution then. That is Pino making way, and she'll be replaced by Jal Marie Guy. So almost a like-for-like change, I feel. Pino was playing out on the left wing. You think Guy would come into that same position, but could be a bit more attacking then.
Maybe
for the Philippines.
That would be something, wouldn't it? Maybe they can look to be a little bit more offensive and try and catch Australia out on the break. But let's find out. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit more positive at the very least.
Yeah, Jo Marie Guy, 18-year-old forward. So you'd think she would be playing quite an advanced role, whereas Pino was quite deep on that left wing, and Guy has come out to the right wing. So a bit of a shift then for the Philippines from the off here. Will that be what they need to try and turn this game around? Will they knock it back? And we're back underway in this second half. It's Australia leading the Philippines by a 0-0 in the opening match of the 2026 Women's Asian Cup. Can Australia continue their dominant first half and look to extend their advantage, or the Philippines hold out, potentially find a way back into this game. It's Australia in possession now. Here is Catley. Across to Hunt, who's looking to switch the play quickly, almost picked off, but it does find Carpenter, who's got space to drive into now. Shifts it to Raso, chance early on, cuts it back. Big deflection there, big interception from the centre half. Coart, or Long actually, I think, got across to that one. Knocking it out of play, but a nice move from Australia in the first few seconds of this second half.
Yeah, great start. Exactly what they need to do, try and hit the Philippines early. But a very good intervention from Long to put it out for a corner. But yeah, Australia will look to grab a second while the Philippines aren't set in their low block just yet. And while they're potentially a little bit vulnerable coming out of the break.
Van Egmond over this delivery then. We've seen them threaten aerially. Putting it into the 6-yard box. Good claim for the goalkeeper. It's spilt. It's cleared away. Carpenter looking to keep this move alive. Now Raso knocks it down the line. Van Egmond coming back from taking the throw. Trying to make something happen. He knocks it backwards. And now Philippines pick off possession and could try and drive forwards. McDaniel. And it's a great fight on the left-hand side. Still carrying it forwards now. Looking to switch it back to the right-hand side. Guys in acres of space here. But it's picked off by Caitlin Ford. And she can't quite pull off the pass. And the game's become a little more transitional now as Australia carry it forwards.
That was well positive, though, from the Philippines. Looking to get the ball down and move it from left to right. But the final pass just not coming off.
Ball slip forwards. Kerr puts pressure on it. Good goalkeeping from McDaniel.
I think this game has also showed the importance of a really good goalkeeper. McDaniel's had a very good game. Great save from the free kick, but it's just the confidence, the way she commands a penalty area, and the kicking as well is a massive strength.
Yeah. Ball long. Headed away by Hunt. Picked off in midfield now. And it's one back in there by Gilao. As I move to the left-hand side, Beard looks down the line. Blocked out of play by Hayley Raso. Throwing for the Philippines on the far side. And we've already seen Beard take a lot of long throws in this game. Australian-born defender. Spoke at length ahead of this tournament about what it meant for her to play for the Philippines, to be playing international football. Was capped once by Australia in 2022. Switched her allegiances though in 2023. And trying to lead the Philippines to get to another World Cup. Catley. A nice sponsorship there for Hawkeye. Hunt. Now into Heatley. Out towards the right-hand side. And here comes Raso. Wants to take on Beard. Ball lifted into the area. Van Egmond tries to get there. Ford can't quite get there. Coart does well. And good goalkeeping from McDaniel.
Really good defending in there. Strong, but on the right line of the lot. Could have easily given away a penalty and brought down Caitlin Ford there, but very good defending in their own penalty area from the Philippines.
Ford wrestling, trying to hold on to the ball. Australia do keep possession. Catley. Hunt. And Australia just delaying, making sure Ford's all right. Catley. Back across to Claire Hunt. And now Australia moving to the right-hand side. Carpenter. I think Hunt having a better season domestically gives you a lot more faith in this Australia backline.
Yeah.
We're thinking back to last year, and you're choosing between Alana Kennedy and Hunt, who was having a really tough campaign last year. I think I'll be a little bit more worried about this Australia backline, but Heatley's clearly a very talented younger player, and you've got Hunt in there who's had a really top season for Tottenham. It's just clicking a lot better than you think it would have based on last season.
Yeah.
Guy trying to carry it forwards, trying to bring some attacking emphasis to this game, but it is the one back pretty easily in midfield by Katrina Gorey, who's wriggling her way through central areas. Now finds Van Egmond. Out to the right-hand side. Raso coming inside dangerously. Good defending from Beards. And the liner hasn't really made a decision there. I think it will be a goal kick.
Neither of them had an idea there. neither the referee or the assistant referee had any clue as to what that was.
I think the Linos have struggled in this game.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of moments where there's just not been a decision made. You've got to make a decision.
Yeah.
That's a very difficult one to call. You've just got to make a decision either way.
Yeah. Because the referee's just stood there like, well, what are you going to give?
Yeah.
And then they don't give anything. And the referee's the one who's being stitched up a little bit.
So Emily Van Egmond over this. Looks to deliver it in towards the far post. Kerr gets ahead on it in that central area, but nods it wide. Would you want to do better with that one, Sam Kerr?
Yeah. Again, it's good from Australia. It's a nice delivery in from Van Egmond. But can't really make it count. And they haven't had any great chances so far in this second half. And that's exactly how the Philippines will want it to stay.
Yeah, again, I think the Philippines have nailed their game plan. Just limiting Australia's shots. If they can continue to do that, it gives them a great chance of getting through this game and perhaps getting through into the quarterfinals. Here is Gorey battling for possession. Free kick awarded. As Gorey was just tugged there.
But I also think it's caught Australia out a little bit, the fact that Philippines are trying to now be more positive, because it adds that doubt in terms of Australia can't be as aggressive as they were being.
Lose control from Gorey. That actually gives us space to knock the ball down the line. Held up well here by Raso. Gorey. Hunt. Squeeze it through the lines, round the corner, but that's misplaced from Wheeler, and they look to break quickly. Wheeler, though, does do well, actually, with that defensive action to win back possession. Strong in midfield from Gilau. Heading out from Wheeler, bouncing around in midfield. Wheeler nods it forwards. Will drop for Kerr, who back heels to Raso, and it's good play there from Beard to get back in there and make the challenge. And they'll look to break quickly here, the Philippines. Ball out towards the right-hand side. Guy takes on Catley and beats her. Now can she find the ball down the line? Well, that's going to be a tough ask of McDaniel to chase that one down. Wheeler able to shift it back to Hunt. Good pressure here, up the pitch from the Philippines. Guy now on the back of Catley. Eggersvik putting Wheeler under pressure. Hunt does squeeze it to Lincoln, and they can play out from here.
Much better, though, from the Philippines. It was guided really well because the initial pass was kind of put in between two players. It was overhit for the midfielder, but it was too short for Guy, and she did really well to come and pick it up.
Lovely give and go there between Raso and Kerr. Ball into the box. Coet just about getting away with that one. Kept alive by Ford. Needs support. Takes aim from a very tight angle. Unable there to generate enough power to trouble the goal. That Philippines breakaway, you kind of want the other way round. You want Eggersvik playing it into Guy, you feel. Guy picked up the ball. Eggersvik made the run. Just didn't quite come together. But much more positive intent from Philippines, which I think is important. Ball long. McDaniel's going to give chase. Hunt doesn't deal with it fully, but is able to nod it home without too much issue.
It looks to be a good half-time change. Guy's just offering something different.
An outlet.
Yeah. It's someone that wants to put the ball forwards.
It's feeling more like the 4-4-2 it should be. And then when they attack, the wingers want to get high.
Yeah.
Than the first half, where it almost felt like a 5 at times with how deep Pino was, and just didn't get out. Here is Heatley. Carpenter. Wheeler. Carpenter. Heatley through the lines, touched on by Van Egmond. Kerr holds it up. Heatley looking to feed the ball through, and it will run all the way through there to McDaniel, who pounced on it quickly.
Yeah, again, nice piece of sharp goalkeeping from McDaniel, who has had a really solid 54 minutes. They've got to use their distribution more. That is a brilliant kick. It's gone out for an Australia throw in Australia's own third, but the initial bounce was well over the halfway line. They've got to try and use that a bit more. It's going to drop Australia deeper.
No, absolutely. It's a shame we don't have any stats available for this game, but McDaniel's been really important so far. Ball up towards the right-hand side, and it's kept alive by Raso, but she probably didn't want to do that because Philippines are carrying the ball forwards now. Though McDaniel is nudged off the ball, Carpenter carries it the other way, and the space has opened up. Here's Raso. Options now, flooding the box, plays it in there. A good claim from McDaniel, and to be fair, Kerr and Ford both look like they may have been offside.
Yeah. brilliant defensive work from Gory, who just turns it over and allows Carpenter to play Raso through. But again, well claimed.
McDaniel sends it forwards, picked up in midfield. Here's Ford looking to switch the play, headed away, and now it's with Carpenter. Touchdown to Gory. Gory looking for forward options. Shifts it to the left-hand side. Hunt goes down the line. Catley carries inside. Ford round the corner to Gory, who can try and open up to let fly. Now to the right-hand side. Carpenter delivers it in there, and that delivery leaving a fair bit to be desired.
Yeah, again, Australia really struggling with quality in the final third. You know, they're having a lot of the ball, they're getting in the right positions, but that's a poor cross from Carpenter.
They're not really opening up the right channel for Carpenter to be in that position to deliver the ball. When she's taking those crosses, it's quite deep, or it's just not quite the position she wants. But yeah, I think it's just been a little uninventive from Australia in the final third. Again, though, bring Fowler in, I think it looks completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Ball headed on. Guy here battling away in midfield. I don't know why she didn't start this game. She's changed the outlook for Philippines. And of course, the mentality seems to have shifted. They are a lot more positive, but she's giving them someone to aim for. Ball headed back to the goalkeeper. A good claim from Lincoln.
I do wonder if the game plan was to just hang on in there, then second half, go for it a little bit, try and nick the goal, and then once you're back level, then you can go defensive when Australia bring on all their brilliant flashy players.
They've got another 2 changes in the offing here, the Philippines.
I like this. Really good management. It's proactive.
And that is Mally Ramirez, who has been a player we know is one to look out for. Without Serena Bolden, was someone we thought could be really important for them at this competition. The other change does seem to be defensively. So perhaps someone with a knock or someone they think is struggling out there. Raso, ball in towards the back post, headed away well by Cowart. One height the pitch here. Ford. Nowhere to go. Here's Carpenter. 3 changes in before the hour mark does feel bold, but I think it's exactly what Philippines need to try and get a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that how many times do we see it when the stronger side make their subs first, and against the tiring team,
creating the angle, tries to clip it into a teammate, doesn't quite come off, and it's Guy now with the ball, who clears it into Catley, and that'll bounce out for a throw.
But how many times do we see it where the stronger team make the subs first, and those the quality players come on against a tired defence and they take advantage? But this is really good management from the Philippines. They're making the changes before Australia can. So when when the likes of Fowler do get introduced, they are it's going to be one of those where the Philippine subs will all be on there.
Okay, so Mally Ramirez on to replace McDaniel leading the line, and then another forward change as Frill is removed, and it will be Marquis on. That's a defender, according to FOTMob, for an attacker.
She doesn't look to be defending.
It doesn't look to be very much defending to be fouled. So a little bit confused. But I think that is just FOTMob being FOTMob.
Yeah.
Ball down the line. Cleared away. It drops in midfield now, and Gilao competes. And now Marquet does seem to be playing in that sort of wing-back role. I think it might be a shape change. I think that they have potentially shifted. Just trying to work out what they're doing. But yeah, so double change there. Either way, Ramirez now up front. I think that gives them more of an outlet as well. Ford. Looks to come inside. Here's Catley. Wide again to Ford. Gory. Plays it into midfield, and it's one high here, and here's Markey. Carrying it forwards. How's the supporting cast trying to look to knock it down the line? I think she's just taken herself into trouble there.
Yeah, went the wrong way and isolated herself. And when you isolate yourself up against Ellie Carpenter, you usually lose, which is exactly what happened there.
Just feels like they never want the ball in the centre of the pitch.
No.
And I get it, again, because that's where it can become dangerous. But if you attack, you want to move it centrally.
Yeah. It's also where the majority of their players are.
Yeah.
Because they're sitting quite narrow. But yeah, so calling on the inexperienced but talented and youthful players in Guy Ramirez, coming in to try and change the game.
Yeah. Ball headed back there by Heatley. Hunt will get there. Ramirez puts the pressure on. Heatley. Now Hunt again. Carries it looking to the left-hand side. Drills it low to Ford. Who shifts it back to Catley. Hunt. Great diagonal ball. Kept alive here by Rasa. Who plays it back. Van Egmond. Plays inside to Ross. That's a great pass around the corner. Wheeler. Carrying it to this wide right space. That touch is too heavy. And that's out for a goal kick.
Yeah, again, really good from the Philippines. They're making this pitch feel a lot shorter than it is because of how deep they're sitting. It feels like Australia, there's been a lot of through balls and the players running down the wings that seem to have just ran out of road and end up running beyond the byline. And it's worked really well for the Philippines so far. But yeah, 29 minutes. Still only Australia leading by a goal to nil. That will be enticing for the Philippines.
I mean, yeah, it gives them something to latch onto. It's what they've been. It's why they've been really good in this game at just making life difficult for Australia, and it gives them a bit of belief. That's not dealt with really by Hunt. Catley will get there, but Ramirez puts the pressure on. And Catley launches up the line, picked off here by Guy. Gory wins it back now in midfield as Gilau gets it to Guy. Wants to take on Gory. Gory drags her down there. And I think a little bit of 6.5 dozen the other, as it's not given either way. Gilau trying to win it in midfield. Strong in there from the fullback, Wunch. Wide now to Guy, who brings it down well. Tidy control there from Guy, who's looking down the line. Wunch again, puts it in there, and it's cleared away by Hunt. That's the most positive move we've seen from Philippines, though. Gilau pivots effectively. Kawart. Sawiki. Out to the left-hand side now. And a great drive into this central area. One, though, by Australia. Gory trying to switch the play. That's over hit and will bounce out for a throw.
A bit of a let-off there because didn't quite see who it was, but they didn't need to drive inside there. They had options to play it to. But much better from the Philippines. That must be their longest passage of play so far in this game. It's because they've got backup. Australia made a bit of a mess of it. Ramirez put the pressure on, but usually what we'd seen is that once they got past Ramirez, Australia have loads of space, but there was backup because when the ball went long, it was a blue shirt that got onto it first. And yeah, they're going to test. They're really going to test the hosts here. You feel, but they need to start getting into shooting, to opportunities to score really, and not even to score, but just to put shots on target.
Heatley. Carpenter. Back to Heatley. Cross now to Hunt. Who looks out to the left-hand side. Catley. Van Egmond. Turns back into Hunt. Lifting it over the top. Looking for the runner, Steph Catley. Who's going to chase it down. It's hooked out of play. Right. The Philippines. Australia throw then on this near side. Pass back now into Hunt. Wheeler. Australia comes to the left again, and it's Hunt. Wheeler. Now Ford, who's knocked off the ball initially, but does well to recover it up against Wunch. Plays it through the lines. Guy doesn't have to get a touch. Gilau knocking it out of play.
This is what I wanted to see. Last 10 minutes have been a much better overall contest and an enjoyable football game to watch. Of course, it's still enjoyable for for the whole game, but there are two teams now in this game.
Big change coming for Australia. That is Mary Fowler ready to enter the fray.
There might not be two teams left in this game much longer.
That's a difference maker, I feel.
Yeah.
So a player can come on and have a real impact. They can bring on Kennedy, though, to balance it out. Then both teams have a difference maker. Hunt into Heatley. Wheeler. Into Van Egmond. who knocks it wide. Out to this right-hand side. Raso wants to dart central with the ball. Now Gory. Van Egmond. Heatley. To Gory round the corner. Can't quite find Carpenter. And really good work there from the substitute on this left-hand side. Markey just got back in, clipping it out of play.
Yeah, superb work rate. And that is what has got Philippines into a position where they're still in the game in the 65th minute. Just, again, that management, realising the lack of threat from the throw compared to conceding a corner.
Cali. Hunt. To the right-hand side now. Carpenter goes down the line. Raso. Carpenter again. Through the lines to Gory, who bounced it back to Claire Wheeler, who takes aim. And a good stop from McDaniel once again.
Well caught by Claire Wheeler. She strikes this nicely. Gets some venom behind it, but straight at the keeper. And well claimed, to be fair, by McDaniel, travelling at that pace. Watched it well. Comfortably into her grasp. But nice move from Australia. Another shot on target, which has been a while since we've seen one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Philippines have just done well to edge their way back into this game. And I think a change may be forthcoming now for Australia. And it is indeed a double change. And it is going to be different makers at both ends of the field. Diana Kennedy and Mary Fowler. So, Wheeler is withdrawn for Kennedy. And Van Egmond for Fowler.
Oh, lots of different things happening here.
Is this Fowler into the 10?
And just Kennedy will assume that defensive midfield role, which she has done a bit more for Australia.
Yeah, I mean, that keeps her further away from the back line.
That is true.
So, allows her to be that aggressor that she likes to be without stepping up and leaving space.
That midfield three.
Fowler tries to poke it through, picked off well. Hard work here from Fowler. Raso tries to poke it forwards, falls again for Raso, who cans another shot, and it's blocked. And now cleared away, and Raso's on the deck here. And the referee stops the game as Raso is injured.
But that midfield three has just gone from what was probably quite a solid Wheeler, Van Egmond and Gory to now Gory, Kennedy and Fowler.
It was settled, but yeah, you've gone from a little bit of a stagnant midfield, but there wasn't any weakness in terms of...
Yeah.
It worked. It was functional.
Yeah.
Now you've got quite an aggressive player in Fowler. You're going to be quite high up the pitch. It's going to drop Gory deeper, which I think will help them in build-up. But you've also got Kennedy in there, who's not a midfielder.
Yeah.
And so may just give you a bit more defensive strength, but I think also limits your ability to move the ball forwards well.
Yeah.
And as we know, is a bit rash, is a bit aggressive, jumps up well at times, but does get it wrong. That'd be my only concern with bringing Lana Kennedy into this game.
We'll see what happens, but 22 minutes, that's the game-changing substitution for Australia, is Fowler coming in. If she can make the difference, get that goal to just seal the win, because at the moment, you never know. In football is a funny game, and all it takes is one chance for Philippines, and they've got players on there who can take chances, who can, find the back of the net when it matters.
I'd rather see Fowler in a wide position, but I'm wondering whether it's Montemurro trying to get Raso and forward a goal, because that could be really important in this tournament. If they can start well, just give them that belief heading into the rest of this tournament, the other group games, but also into the knockouts. Heatley wide into Carpenter. Australia reduced to 10 for the moment, but Carpenter still coming forwards. Ball into the box. Well, away from the box, really, as it's out for a goal kick.
Ellie Carpenter struggled. Not obviously, she hasn't had a bad game at all, but just in the quality in the fast that the crosses have been really inaccurate. I don't know. Again, it's annoying that we haven't got many stats, because I'd love to see her, cross percentage, because I can't imagine it's very high.
I was going to say I can estimate 0. Yeah, I don't think they haven't been very successful, but. Yeah, I think it's just one of those games where, because the Philippines are dropping very effectively into a bit of a back five, it means there's always a player on Carpenter. They're not. I think what they do so effectively at Chelsea and what she used to Lyon is double up on that right side.
Yeah,
and create an overload. But it's kind of game where the left winger is tracking deep, almost becoming a wing back at times. When they don't have the ball, it's almost a 5-2-3 now. So it does make it a little bit more difficult, I think, for Carpenter. Kennedy. Hunt. Heatley looking down the line. Raso. Back to Heatley. Inside to Carpenter. Forced backwards to Hunt. Wants to feed it through the lines. Picked off, though, by Ramirez, who has support here. Poking it to the left-hand side. Hard work here from Gilao. Won't quite get there, though. Positive from the Philippines. Not quite coming off.
Yeah. Again, that's the second... They've done much better in the second half of turning the ball over and, making things difficult for Australia. It was very easy for Australia just to saunter up to the halfway line in the first half.
Someone taking a shot, in the second half, though. It's worth mentioning.
That is true.
Philippines, for all their positive play, still not had a shot.
Yeah. That's been the biggest problem, is they just haven't got the ball into the final third. So, yeah. But again, we in the second half, we haven't seen those free kicks. They haven't won a corner yet. Haven't won a throw in a dangerous area that Beard can launch into the box. They're the parts of the game I think that I'd really like to have seen introduced a bit more. Because all it takes would be Angie Beard to just throw the ball into the penalty area and just cause a few problems.
Yeah, it does have that trebuchet-like throw.
Yeah.
Just wheeled up and launch it in there.
Yeah.
Headed away to Catley, as Australia now look to play to the left-hand side. Well, Catley actually thinks better of it. Now with Kennedy. Here's Gorey. Looking to find the width now with Ford. Slips it into Fowler. That's a great challenge from Gilao. Fowler to Ford. Back to Catley. Back into Fowler in the half space. Gilao, though, quick to do her assignment and jump in front of it. Clear it away.
Yeah. You can tell Fowler's still got a bit of sharpness to run off. That's expected. And that may be what helps the Philippines a little bit. The fact that Fowler won't come into this game and be as explosive. And, well, the Philippines have had 3% more of the ball than they did in this first half.
They're up there. Yeah, they're up their overall possession by 3%, yeah.
That's something.
It's a positive.
I mean, having 15% of the ball across a match of football isn't great.
93 passes, though.
Compared to 521. Australia had 521 passes, but only had 9 shots.
Yeah.
That is Montemurro football if I've ever seen it.
Still a slightly better shot per pass ratio than Philippines.
Yes.
Here's Ford. Inside towards in towards Fowler. Cleared away. Hunt. Catley. Look down the line. Gorey made the run in the half space. Lovely between Fowler and Gorey takes aim and it's saved well by McDaniel.
Again, another effort towards goal. Really good stuff from Gorey, who finds herself a bit higher up the pitch now that Kennedy's come on and struck it well, but straight down the throat of the keeper. Again, well claimed by McDaniel.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones where the goalkeeper probably deserves a clean sheet. She's not going to get it.
Yeah, no. You can't undo a goal.
No.
But no, she's done her job. Nothing she could have done, sorry, about the first goal.
Yeah.
I think she could have done better with the one that Raso scored that was offside. I think she did a bit timid goalkeeping there. But, I mean, it was offside, so it didn't really matter. Daniel slowing the game down. And now the Philippines looking to play out. I mean, this is what I was talking about, though, earlier. 15 minutes to go. There's a goal in this game.
Yeah.
Like, it's not impossible they can find a route to goal. Ball head away well. And batting away here is Gilao. And now Catley goes up the line and it has been turned over for a Philippines throw.
Really good decision.
Creo says no live coverage on PH. I assume you mean the Philippines.
That's poor.
I think there is actually. It is. I was checking this. It's the Philippines Federation Facebook.
It's on their Facebook.
I believe so. That's what I was reading through the list earlier.
That's quite cool.
I think it was on their
Is it
Facebook,
cool?
if I'm not mistaken. Well, it'd be good if it was on a different platform.
Yeah, just Facebook.
Headed away well by Kennedy. Launched forwards and out for a throw by the Philippines. Now we in Australia throw on this near side. Quarter of an hour to go. Is there a way for the Philippines to get back into this match?
All it takes is one shot. One shot on goal. You know, Lincoln has had a good season, but also she has nothing to do today. And that is, if anything, it's harder as a goalkeeper to have nothing to do for 75, 80 minutes, but then suddenly be called into action to pull off a save is not a nice situation to be in.
If Philippines can suddenly switch the direction of this game, switch the flow, there's a chance they can get something.
But Australia won't feel comfortable at the moment. They will, on the ball, they will, because at times with the ball, maybe the momentum is all just with them. But 1-0 is not a nice scoreline with 14 minutes to go, no matter how well you play.
Feels like one of our predictions are going to come true here. It's either your 2-0 Australia or my 1-0.
Yeah. There's a goal.
Stay tuned to see what happens. Carpenter knocks it backwards. Hunt plays it wide into Catley. Forward. Through the lines. Now Gorey. Fowler. Can't get the shot away. Gorey tries to pounce. But it's won here by Guy, and that's brilliant work from Guy. And then barreled down as Eggersvik. And a little surprise not being given as a free kick there. But
there's 3 fouls in that whole sequence, and not a single one has been given.
Carpenter. Raso. Now Hunt. Katrina Gorey. Looks out to the right-hand side. Raso. That ball into the box. Their poor delivery. Because his Facebook coverage is great. Watch the game and see what somebody you met once 10 years ago had for lunch. Yeah, absolutely. Or you scroll down and find out someone you went to school with is putting flags up on lampposts, which is always great to discover. But yeah, wonderful app is Facebook.
Where you can watch the Philippines national team.
But if you are a great user of Facebook, I believe we have an account on there that has posted, I would say, 3 times in the last year.
Great. That's active.
So if you want infrequent posts about women's football, follow our Facebook. Kennedy. Now towards Catley on the left-hand side. Hunt. Carries it forwards. Catley. Looks down the line. Hunt again. Exchanging with Heatley. Hunt looks to the left-hand side now. Catley holding the width. Looks to make it happen quickly. Headed away well, though. Ramirez can't quite hold on to it. Foul looks to take aim. It's blocked and it's cleared away. Ramirez touching on, looking for Eggersvik. Doesn't quite come off.
Yeah, I think Ramirez had the problems that just come on. Is that she just seems to be a bit of a half a step ahead of her teammates. Like there, she's ran into it quickly and flicked it around the corner, expecting a run, and Eggersvik just can't get there because she hasn't anticipated that's what's going to happen.
Ball through the lines. Kerr takes a touch and turn, but that's the finish not quite completing the ensemble.
Yeah, nice from Sam Kerr. Try to just flick it up on the turn and smash it home, but scuffs it and puts it wide of the mark. Lovely ball drilled into her by Heatley. He's had a good game. I mean,
yeah, I'm massively impressed with. I can't say we've watched loads of Roma, and when I have watched Roma, I have not been impressed because it's been in the Champions League and they were awful.
Yeah,
but yeah, really impressed with that today.
Yeah, well, Australia making another change. Not yet though.
I believe that is another attacking change.
Mm.
Based on Sam Kerr's worried expression over at the sideline. I think that's Sayer, isn't it? 17. So we'll come into midfield. That will either see Fowler go up front and Kerr come off, or Fowler go wide and one of the wingers come off, you would think.
Mm.
As it's gory, and they're just going to go for the most ridiculous looking midfield 3 ever. Ford back to Gory, an offside flag there up against Caitlin Ford. Must have come back from deep there.
Yeah. That change is going to get 10 minutes to go, though. Australia just taking the pace out the game a little bit.
And that is going to be Hayley Rasso making way. So we'll see Fowler in her strongest position, really, on that right wing. Sayer will come into that midfield role. Australia just looking to add a little bit more to their attack. Try and find a second goal in this game and strengthen their goal advantage, really.
Yeah.
Their goal difference going forwards in this tournament.
Yeah, they will be disappointed if this ends 1-0 because they viewed this as a good opportunity, as you say, to get some goals on the board, to get some players back into form and hit the ground running. And although they may take the win here, it's not going to be the kind of big grand opening to the Asian Cup that they would have really hoped for. It's been convincing on the pitch, but it's not convincing on paper.
It does feel like the only way this game now lives up to being a crazy opening game is if Philippines score.
Yeah.
But I think it was because I remember the opening game of the 2023 Women's World Cup was New Zealand, wasn't it?
Late on.
And it was that they had a last moment winner from, was it Wilkinson, the forward?
Yeah.
That was dramatic. The only way we're getting drama now is if the Philippines score and they level it. Chance now for Catley! And that a wild shot. I don't think I've ever seen a ball swerve quite that much. It was like watching the Javelani again.
Yeah, didn't catch that well at all, did Steph Catley. Lovely football from Australia. One touch stuff around the penalty area, and Catley saw her name up in lights, I think. And that has gone curling into the stands.
She travellas that far post, then fair play, but that skewing off wide. Double change midfield now for the Philippines, looking for some energy. Eggersvik and Gilao withdrawn. Curran and Passion brought in there. They need some fight, and now they've got some passion.
Yeah.
Can they find a way? McDaniel's gone down with a bit of cramp, it looks like here.
That's not great.
No, you don't really want a goalkeeper to go down with cramp.
No.
Phil says, quite impressive, Philippines. They keep it at least 1, it sets them up well. If they keep it at 1, it sets them up well, yeah. Absolutely. I think they put themselves in a position where they can get a result against Iran in the final game week. They could see themselves through in third place as long as they keep the score, as long as they keep the goal difference handy. If they only lose 1-0 here, if they can get a result against South Korea, they'd be in even better position.
Yeah.
But yeah. We'll see how it goes. Sebastian says should have put Fowler in the first half. I think the problem is obviously Fowler's been out injured for a long time. Hasn't started much, and obviously they want to have her involved, but they also don't want to injure her.
Yeah.
I don't think Andre Eglert's will be a particularly happy manager.
No.
If he gets a phone call from Joe Montemurro that he's injured, their injury, the player's been out injured all season. But yeah. So it's been a shame. I'm really intrigued to see what Fowler's going to look like in that Eglert's, the Eglert system.
Sorry, why has the Philippines physiotherapist got a headset on?
Listening to some
tunes. We have seen some really unique things happening in this opening game.
Over, you don't tend to get it that chunky though, do you? They'll obviously have something to communicate to the bench.
But he's got like it's proper headphones with like a microphone coming out of it.
Looks like McDonald's. Even then, they'd only have the little thing, don't they, with the mic?
Usually it's just like a presenter piece that will just come along and but no, that is a full-on headset.
Yeah.
Main thing is that McDaniel's all right to continue.
It's like those ear defenders.
Yeah.
But yeah, McDaniel looking to send this forwards.
6 minutes. Is there a chance? Is there at least a shot for Philippines? A chance?
They've got to take a shot.
Yeah.
If not, this whole game plan has been for nothing.
One shot in 84 minutes of football is not what I turned up to see today.
A punt from the goalkeeper on a free kick.
On
the halfway line. Here's Hunt. Philippines still stepping off them, allowing Australia to come high. They need Australia to come high to create that space for them to be able to attack into. If they can turn this ball over. Fowler on the touchline. Not had to play well by Beard. Now Carpenter. Inside to Sayer. Carpenter. Heatley. Hunt. And now Catley looks down the line. Picked off well in there and absolutely launched forwards. And it's going to drop into the possession of Lincoln. Hunt. Catley comes in support. She shifts it into Heatley. Going to go down the line. Picked off by Markey, but that's out for another throw in then. Australia. Carpenter. Sayed knocks it back to Carpenter, who's going to be forced all the way back there to Heatley. And now Hunt. Drills it into Catley. Hunt again. Trying to switch the play. We'll find Fowler, who darts inside dangerously. Takes aim now. That's blocked. Sayer does poke it goalwards. Good claim from McDaniel.
Again, nice move by Australia. Not quite the strike that Sayer would have been hoping for, but did well to poke it on target. But McDaniel can meet it again. This is much better. This is what you want. I mean, the ricochet was a bit kind following Fowler's effort. But Sayer did well to kind of poke it towards the goal.
Indeed. Fowler. All in, and that's a comfortable claim again for the goalkeeper.
Yeah. If there's one player, if I ever need someone to time waste, I'm going to pick McDaniel. Every time she's caught it, she's then gone and hit the deck.
Yeah. Heatley. Forced backwards there. And knocks it up the line. Carpenter. Heatley. Switching the play. Finds Catley. And now a direct ball from Kennedy. And that overhits. And we'll bounce out of play.
Yeah. It's not been a quality affair in the final third from either side. I mean, Philippines have one shot and Australia have really struggled to, bar the opening goal.
Yeah, I think for Australia it's difficult because they're playing a side who are super defensive. But it's going to be interesting to see. They've got Iran coming up, then South Korea in the groups. Iran's a game they should be comfortable in again, and Iran did used to play this kind of football, but under Jafari they have been a bit more aggressive. So do you think that game could actually be a little bit more open, give them some more opportunities? But that South Korea game's going to be the big test, because it's going to be quite an even match, quite an open game. If they can get 9 points in the group stage, I think they'll prove that they can go on and win this competition. I still think they're going to be in a great position forward, clipping it towards the back post, overhit. But I do think they're a little too stagnant in the final third at times. Phil says, plan the match. I'm going with McDaniel. Mark says, good call, Phil. Yeah, I mean, I would struggle to say anyone else because outside of the goal, Kerr hasn't offered loads today. Ford got the assist, but hasn't offered much outside of that.
McDaniel's saves have kept us at 1-0. Without them, it could have been 3 or 4-0, and I think that it just highlights the importance of a strong goalkeeper at these kind of tournaments.
Like, Heatley's had a really decent game, but she hasn't had anything to do.
No.
So we can't praise her for brilliant defending when she hasn't done much defending.
Yeah, Gory has been everywhere.
Isn't she?
That'd be my shout for both. I'd have to give one for both teams. I mean, it'll probably go to Sam Kerr, won't it? In terms of the actual coverage.
No, obviously.
Yeah, McDaniel's been sort of superb in goal, and yet again rushes out to that through ball and gets there first.
Indeed. But yeah, as this game ticks down, 89th minute, remember we are live throughout the Asian Cup. We polled it the other day because we didn't realise it was going to be on YouTube. They didn't announce it until a couple of days before the tournament. But we will be live for a lot of the big matches, anything involving Australia, Japan, and we are going to be live. Our next game is China taking on Bangladesh on Tuesday. So make sure to join us for that one. Ball in from Fowler, bounces through. That's cleared away. All a little bit messy in there. Yeah, lots to look out for this week. Asian Cup streams in the mornings. We've got England on Tuesday evening as well. That 5 o'clock kickoff against Ukraine. If that game does go ahead, it's a little up in the air right now. Fowler drills it in there. not quite dealt with in the back line. 5 minutes of additional time in this at the end of this game.
They want drama.
I think it was chosen by the Philippines manager.
Yeah.
Who wants the time to try and score a leveller.
One punt forwards is all it needs for Philippines to find.
I mean, they've got to go forwards now. 5 minutes left. You've got to go forwards.
Absolutely. Just go for it now. Losing 1-0 or 2-0 doesn't really have much of a difference.
Yeah, it does, but I think you balance it because if you're thinking about risk, scoring the goal and getting the leveller has a much bigger impact than conceding that second goal does.
Yeah.
I think you've got to go for it last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Conceding would hurt you, but you've got to go for the goal.
Absolutely. I think Philippines overall will be happy with how they've played. They'd probably like to have a few more opportunities, but defensively they've done really well to keep Australia out. Yeah.
Here's Ford. Carries the ball forwards well. Goes down there under pressure. Seemed a fair challenge. Australia aren't happy. Hunt. What are your thoughts there?
It was the referee put her whistle to her mouth and then decided against it. It was a foul. She was Ford being held all the way as she ran there.
To try to go down the line. That's touched out of play. Fowler letting that drop. So Carpenter takes the throw. Sayer. Now Carpenter pokes inside to Sayer. Through the lines towards Kerr. Great hold up. Back now to Carpenter. Touch. Look to deliver. Goes down the line instead. Fowler onto her left foot. Puts it in towards the area. Headed away. And then hooked clear. And now Ramirez competes. Header on by Hunt. Catley. Gorey. Fowler. Takes aim. Mary Fowler. Wide of the mark.
And again, nice football from Australia. But that final finish is just lacking. That's been the story of the game, really. All of the ball in the final third, but just not been able to make it count.
Yeah, I mean, if you asked me to define Joe Montemurro's football, they have had all of the ball. It's just been too stagnant in the final third. I think, obviously, personnel doesn't help. I think with Ford and Raso, you're naturally going to be quite stagnant in the final third. Neither of them are particularly explosive or creative. But, yeah, I think getting Fowler on there, if she can start going forwards, that will change things. I think she's been quite lively since coming on. But yeah, they've managed this game okay, Australia.
They've got through.
It's going to be difficult against a side who are sitting so deep like the Philippines are.
Yeah.
But you would expect them to be a little bit more convincing considering how ball dominant they've been.
Yeah, but it's not a flashy opening win, but it's a win. And that's what matters. They've got off the mark. And as we said, if you dropping points in your first game can leave you in a very difficult position. So they've done well to get through.
Ball down the line. Carpenter trying to create the angle for the cross. Blocked well by Markey. But even says, I was going to go to the game. It doesn't sound good. You should absolutely go to some games of the competition, though. I think this was always going to be a stodgy one. But Australia's other group games, Iran and South Korea, are going to be a little more open. Especially that South Korea game. It should be a good contest between two top sides. As we progress in this tournament and Australia obviously then face some of the top sides in Asia. Your likes of China, your North Korea, Japan, of course, as well, who they could meet in the semi-final or the final, depending on whether they finish first or second in the group. Yeah, I think there'll be great matchups later in the competition. Carpenter goes down the line. Fowler trying to create the angle to deliver the ball into the box on the edge to Sayer. Can't quite keep it under her control. Huntley. Heatley, sorry. I combined Hunt and Heatley there.
That would make a great defender.
Yeah, but you'd only have one of them, so
true.
That wouldn't be ideal.
You'd have one elite centre half.
Heatley. Fowler goes down the line. Gorey lifts it into the box. Can they find a second? Punched away well by McDaniel. Ford. Back to Hunt. And they break this Philippines back line down. Hunt knocks it wide. Ford. Poising touch in towards Catley. You can't quite find the cutback. That runs out of play. And that will be likely the last action of the game. Unless they can move this forward incredibly quickly, the Philippines, who have not done that at all this game. I think that will be the end of this opening fixture. Australia leading by a 1-0. And Montemurro is already going through and shaking the hands of every player on the Australia bench. It's a nice touch.
That is nice. I mean, 3/4 of them didn't get on the pitch.
Yeah, true. So that's it. It's the full-time whistle. Here then, the opening game of the Women's Asian Cup is a victory for the hosts, Australia. Not the most incredible game of football we've ever witnessed, but a 1-0 victory for Australia on home turf. Sam Kerr's goal after 14 minutes gave them the opener and what turned out to be the winning goal in this contest. Mark Torcaso's side, the Philippines, playing defensively. They tried to just make this game difficult for Australia. Conceding early was always going to make it tough, but limiting the manner of defeat does give Philippines the best chance of trying to progress with games against Iran and South Korea coming up over this week. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the opener there?
Australia got the job done. That's the main thing. It's 3 points on the board in the group. It's a potential banana skin dodge, and they did well to come through the game. Philippines, I think they should have gone for it a little bit earlier. I mean, we still saw that there McDaniel had a really good game, but caught the ball in the 93rd minute and went to ground. That's you've got to go for it at that point.
Yeah.
But all round, Philippines much more respectable. Again, when we think about that's a Philippine side that a couple of years ago lost this fixture 8-0. The fact they're now here competing and only lost by a 1-0 is much more impressive, and it just shows how far they've come. So overall, I think it's a result that both sides will be pretty pleased with. But obviously, Australia taking the 3 points, which is the main thing, and that sets them up nicely to go and get out of this group.
Yeah, it's 20 months really since that Olympic game, isn't it? So yeah, I think a huge amount of progress for the Philippines in that kind of time span. And yeah, I think they've got games in this competition where if they can pick up some other results, they're going to put themselves in a position where potentially they can qualify for the knockouts.
Yeah.
Potentially get themselves a World Cup place, which is what they're aiming for. Really, that'd be incredible for them. That, though, is everything. Thanks to everyone that has tuned in. Really great to see all the support in the live stream. We're sat comfortably above 100 live viewers. So thank you so much for your support. We were slightly worried. We found out on Friday that all the games were going to be live on YouTube. Your support has been incredible. We'll be back on Tuesday as China take on Bangladesh. We'll be back on Wednesday and Thursday as well this week, I believe. I haven't checked the schedule, but we've got live streams throughout this week. So if you are watching a game and want to watch along with us, make sure to check our channel to make sure whether we are live or not. The stream pages will tend to be out the night before if you're in the UK, or the same day, obviously, if you're in Australia. So look out for those. That, though, is everything. That, guys, very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.